ready for some football, some Texans Today party.
Welcome into Texans Today, a special live edition of Texans Today presented by Prize Picks. I got my guy right here, Stressans, on the mic with me, and we are going to talk about NFL rumors, the latest Texans training camp updates, and everything that we want to discuss on today's program. How we doing, Stressans?
Oh, doing great, Jeremy. I appreciate you having me on. And that was impressive that you got the point right because I didn't figure it out myself. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm blessing. I appreciate you, connecting. It's always fun catching up with you, man.
Awesome. Well, we were talking before the live, a little peek behind the curtains. We were talking before the live. My guy Stressans, he's been putting some miles on the odometer. He's been talking to Wyatt Teller. If you haven't already seen it, he has a great interview on his channel where he's talking to Wyatt Teller, an exclusive interview, the newest Texans offensive lineman. I implore y'all after this live, go watch that interview with Wyatt Teller. You also were able to talk to Tommy Togiai as well. And I mean, you've got a bunch of great content that you've got going on as well. Did I miss anything?
Brian Cushing on Monday.
Brian Cushing on Monday. I mean, maybe the biggest one of all.
My hand is like crushed. I mean, think about Wyatt Teller is a massive human being, very strong. Tommy Togiai, probably one of the strongest guys on the team, and then Brian Cushing.
You're at least like 6 foot. Like I'm
6'1", but that doesn't mean that I'm strong.
See, my wife is probably in the other room rolling her eyes. I'm 5'10" and 3/4, so I think I definitely feel a little bit smaller sitting next.
I mean, you're too honest. Why would you say 3/4? That's 5'11" all day at the least, bro.
If I say 5'11", she'll call me a liar. So I can't do that. I can't do that. But obviously, we have a lot to discuss on today's show. And first, I kind of wanted to go around the NFL and something that also comes back to you, my guy, Mr. Stressans, because I found this interesting tweet of yours that apparently an old Fortnite teammate might be joining the Houston Texans. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, my guy Stressans played Fortnite with Jadeveon Clowney back in the day, and he's rumored to be looking at the Texans, the Browns, and the Seahawks. Do we get a little insight? Do we get a little peek behind the curtain about Jadeveon Clowney? What do you got for us, Stressans?
Yes, I don't know how long it's been, but man, I used to play Fortnite with him like every day for like until like 2 a.m. It was crazy, and I guess not every day, but a lot of the days. And he was still on the Texans at the time. And that was when he was going through his first contract extension. And when you play video games that long with somebody, it's like you're hanging out, X amount of days, like you're basically friends, and met him in person a couple times. And yeah, he's a great dude. He's a chill guy. He's laid back. I've kind of kept in touch with him here and there. Once I had, my children, my oldest daughter's 5, I kind of quit playing right after that. So haven't been gaming quite as much, but I did get some insight on this, like probably like a month or so ago. And like probably 2 months before that, I hit him up, and like, I'm already thinking just from like, without even, knowing him or being friends with him, like just from a perspective for the Texans, we need a defensive end 3 rotational edge rusher. He would be a great fit. He's lives in Houston. He's still, in the area. Obviously he was drafted by the Texans. I personally think that his style would fit this defense great, in that D'Amico Ryan's on the defensive line. It's like a just go. They want the D lineman to just win fast in the backfield. And if you remember Clowney's like play, he's just like erratic because he just gets in the backfield and causes chaos, but he didn't know what to do from there. And because the system wouldn't, know how to like take that on, it kind of made it look worse than what it is. And honestly, too, like I felt like his whole career, he would do that, be right there for the sack, not get it, and someone else would get it. He would cause like the initial pressure to get the sack and wouldn't get the credit. But anyways, I thought he'd be a perfect fit. I had reached out to him a couple months ago, and he's like, I want to win a championship, So, but then I heard some more information that, basically I had heard it and I, didn't want to say it, but they said like all the old teams were calling, which is what Aaron Wilson reported. So, I mean, that also includes other teams like the Panthers, Seahawks that were mentioned, and Texans was the most notable. So, but yeah, I mean, hopefully it works out. We'll see. But I mean, I think he'd be a great fit.
Well, I mean, and if what you're saying, if what he's telling you is, factual, like if he's trying to win a championship, I feel like the 2 destinations have to be us and the Seahawks. Am I wrong? Like,
Yeah, because I mean, he does, unfortunately. I guess I mean his career, like he's been gambling on himself year after year, and like he's
I
getting
guess the
like
Ravens.
1 year, yeah, Ravens, Panthers. I mean, he's been on a bunch of teams,
Yeah.
Browns. So you can take
He's had
Browns out, probably the
he's had some
Panthers
good
out.
seasons. I think last year he had like 8.5 sacks. The year prior at 5.
Cowboys could be, Cowboys. But I don't know if the Cowboys are interested because they kind of addressed their defensive end. They got some depth,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, he's always been known as a run stopper, but then last year he had the sack production. But like to my point, like he's been an underrated, pass rusher because like he creates the pressure, but he doesn't always get the sack, and people are so infatuated with sacks. Like,
Mhm.
but like pressure should be more considered in this situation.
Yeah. Well, what I'm gonna do right here, really quickly, is something that I call a segue. Uh, we looking at if Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Texans, are you going more or less than 5.5 sacks? Because that Derek Barnett as the third edge rusher last year, 5.5 sacks as that guy who came in, kind of gave Danielle, gave Will Anderson a spell. Are you going more or less than 5.5 sacks if he were to sign with the Texans?
That's a great number. Obviously, people are probably concerned about injuries, but I was actually looking at it with all the
Oh,
he's played 12 seasons and he still averages like 12 and a half games per season. And that's with a lot of seasons, only 16 games in a season. So like all that considered, he's still playing quite a bit. Um, yeah, I would go over even as a rotational edge. We know, Derek Barnett, you mentioned his numbers. They still play about 40% of the snaps, given they kind of keep Will and Danielle fresh. So I think it'd be close, but I think he can go over. I mean, that I think it was last game of the year, the last game he played against the Giants, he had like 2 or 3 sacks alone in that one game. So
the reason why I asked you the more or less is because today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Get started
how
today with our
convenient.
friends over at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there, available in most states, including Texas, of course, where we are located, California, and Florida. Super simple, just more or less. And we got a new user offer. Play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups. If you win, just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right, Prize Picks. They switched it up. Make sure to use our code HMA. Get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. I don't know how well you can see this the lineup that I have on screen right now, but
Mhm.
this is a 4-pick power play. It's a season-long one. I'm going Trevor Lawrence, the less on his rush yards. Then I'm going CJ Stroud, the more on his passing touchdowns. Montgomery, which I thought was a steal. It's at what is it, 774 for rush yards. I went the more
Oh
on that.
man.
And then Will Anderson, it's 11 sacks. So I went the more on that as well. I think a lot of good value, a lot of good steals. So if y'all are looking for some lineups, copy my lineup, Jeremy_Chugs, with our friends over at Prize Picks. Going back to the Jadeveon Clowney discussion, something else that happened today with the Houston Texans. Jake Hansen, linebacker, went down at practice, foot injury, couldn't put any weight on that foot, had to get carted off. I know we've all been talking about edge rush depth. Do you think that changes anything with the Texans' pursuit of Jadeveon Clowney, maybe looking to sign another edge rusher if the linebacking core is maybe a little bit more questionable? Like, do they kind of put that on the back burner and look at signing another linebacker instead? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like if they do, like obviously they're talking to Jadeveon Clowney, and I don't know if they're talking to other edge rushers or not, but like if they internally are wanting to add a veteran edge rusher, I don't think that would affect it by any means. And like when I heard of the Jake Hansen injury, like I haven't even tweeted this or anything, but like my first thought was, because I don't want to be like insensitive, but it's like that just means that Jake Hummel made the team. I mean, because to me, Jake Hummel, who we signed, former Raven, former Ram, is like a special teams ace, smart, physical linebacker, probably like a good backup Mike linebacker. That's exactly what Jake Hansen was. So when we signed him, I didn't even have Jake Hansen for sure making the team, to be honest. I had Jake Hansen and Jake Hummel fighting for a roster spot. So to me, it's like Jake Hummel, they're both Jake, they're the same guy, So
Yeah.
Jake Hummel, congrats, you just made the roster.
I viewed it a little differently. I actually had Jake Hansen as soon as the EJ Speed injury. I had him as the third linebacker on this squad because he's been with the team for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Obviously, he knows the system. He knows what D'Amico Ryans likes, and I think that just the fact that he's been around the system, he is maybe not a veteran, but more of a
Yeah.
seasoned player than some of the other players on this roster. And I do know Frank Ross likes him as one of the special teams guys as well. So I thought, that might give him a little bit of a, leg up on a Wade Woodaz, on a Aiden Fisher, on a Marte Mapu. Maybe Jamal Hill could have been slotted as that linebacker 3 instead. But personally, I had Hansen as the linebacker 3 on my depth chart whenever I was looking at it. So whenever he went down, that to me said, well, one, these younger guys get much more opportunity. Like you just said, Jake Hummel, welcome to the show, like welcome to the squad. But then my wife is an Indiana Hoosier alum. I love Aiden Fisher. And this might be one of those stories where one of my favorite accounts on X right now is 20 years ago in sports. I don't know if you've found that account on X yet, but it's like they're tweeting out stuff like the top headlines, and one of them from the other day was Fred Taylor went down with an apparent injury. This gives the young and unproven Maurice Jones-Drew a chance at starting reps. And to me, in my mind, not that Hansen is on that same level, but maybe we see a headline in 20 years of, Aiden Fisher makes the roster because Texans linebacking room is kind of, thinning out. And he turns out to be a great linebacker and can start one day. Because I'm telling you, like that Indiana defense, arguably better than the Indiana offense was last season. And he was the heart and soul in the middle of that defense. He was the captain. He was the green dot. And whenever I was watching the draft, looking in the draft room, they were so pumped that Aiden Fisher made it to the 7th round. And usually in the 6th and 7th round, you don't see the, war room get that animated. They also did it with Babechi Wewu, the 4th round pick out of Oklahoma. But whenever they picked Aiden Fisher, D'Amico was kind of like fist pounding, like, let's freaking go. And it was
like the day, like the draft is pretty much over too. It's like 7th round, right?
And over the past couple of years, I feel like in the D'Amico era, if you're a 7th round pick, you might have less of a chance to make the roster than a UDFA. So for him going like that around Aiden Fisher, that to me signals like maybe he gets a chance at linebacker 3. I know Wade Woodaz was taken above him, but I don't know.
Well, you make good points, and so like I agree. Like you make really good points. He does value guys that know the system. I mean, you just look at other positions like MJ Stewart was very valuable. He was like a special teamer guy who all of a sudden now, when he stepped in last year for CJ Gardner-Johnson, did well, but he got hurt unfortunately. But I guess I was kind of looking at it initially like I kind of do overanalyze stuff. I'm like, okay, 4-2-5, you got your Mike linebacker and you got your Will linebacker. Your Will linebacker is supposed to be the longer, rangier, quicker sideline to sideline guy, and the Mike linebacker is more of the thumper. And so EJ Speed was the first injury. He was a backup rotational Will linebacker with Henry, but they can all play both. I know they can all play both, but some are better at certain spots than others. So I've been looking at, okay, just when that happened, like Jake Hansen supposedly was getting snaps there, but the next guy's up at the rotational Will linebacker with Henry, to me, would be Wade Woodaz, Marte Mapu, Jamal Hill. Like all those guys could be that. And like the big thing there is like a lot of those guys, I think all 3 of those guys are former safeties. And so you see a lot of those guys that are like too big to be safety, but then they move down to Will linebacker. They got that range. But yeah, so like I guess our concern now as far as depth in the linebacking room would be for middle linebacker. Like if something were to happen to Azeez and or Henry, because Henry can play Mike too, that's when you would be in big trouble. So, but Jake Hummel can play that as well. But I'm sure they'll find a vet. But they did a good job. It seemed like they got too many linebackers, but now we look back, like we lost 2 linebackers, but we drafted 2 linebackers. So it was like, man, D'Amico, good job.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that this team has done really good at is drafting on the defensive side. Like I feel like since D'Amico's gotten here, and even with Nick Caserio, like I remember when the Texans took Derek Stingley, and everybody was like, "Oh, I can't believe you passed on Sauce Gardner. Like, come on." And yes, Sauce Gardner had a great rookie season, and I have a theory with Sauce. I think it's a a little bit of the name effect. If his name was Jeff Gardner,
1,000%.
If his name was Jeff Gardner,
his name was Ahmad Gardner.
Exactly. But this team has done great drafting. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things around Jalen Smith going into year 2 after he missed last year. So that might be another hit for this Texans.
I saw him in the workout video with Ja'Cory one way that Aaron Wilson posted. Like it was like kind of clips, and like, dude, I mean, it was just a couple to look at, but like I was like, I kind of got like, man, like don't forget about Jalen Smith.
And they drafted Kamari Ramsey. And my thought process with that is I really believe that they had that stash in their back pocket, because when you look at Kamari Ramsey and his tape and how he played, he was much better in 2024 than in 2025. And
Position, right?
The Texans were probably looking at Jalen Smith in 2024 whenever they drafted him. And they were probably like, who's this dude who's playing with him? Who's this other guy? Who's Kamari Ramsey?
That, it started with Calen Bullock. You saw Calen Bullock, and then you saw Jalen Smith, and then you saw Kamari Ramsey.
Maybe we just need to watch all the USC games this year. I don't know. Like, maybe find our next corner. But I do think the Texans, they've done a great job at drafting defense, and hopefully the guys that they drafted at linebacker, Wade Woodaz or Aiden Fisher, if one of those guys can step up to be the linebacking three, that'll be a huge win. If not, there are a couple names out there, namely Bobby Wagner. Now, I don't know if it makes sense for the Texans to go out and get a guy like that, because he's probably in a position where he's older, but he probably still feels like he can start. He can be a starting guy. If he comes to the Texans, I don't think he's starting over, even though like this might sound crazy. If I said this 2 or 3 years ago, you might call me, insane, take me to the loony bin. But I think Henry To'oTo'o starts over Bobby Wagner, even if he was signed by the Texans. Like, I think Bobby Wagner has lost a step in terms of, like you were saying, like the will linebacker being able to be that rangy guy, and also because the Texans rarely go out of their base 4-2-5, you have to be really good in coverage. I don't think Bobby Wagner is at that level anymore.
You mentioned familiar with scheme too with Jake Hansen, like he would have the upper leg there. And then on Kamari Ramsey, shout out Brandon Halal, I was going to say that as well. But Kamari Ramsey, they found value in him because last year he was a selfless teammate that had injury, so he played the nickel, a position that wasn't really best suited for him, and he's better in the high post at safety. So he kind of played, I believe that's what happened. I believe, I may be speaking on the inverse, but he was playing, from what I believe, he was playing nickel when he was better at the high post and the safety. So, they may have gotten some value because of that.
Before we get into, we have a fun segment coming up, buy or sell. I'm going to ask my guy Stressans a ton of questions around the Texans, whether he's buying or selling. I did want to take a quick trip around the NFL because a lot of other stuff happened today. Guy got paid. Chris Olave got paid a brand new contract with the Saints, 4 years, $132 million. He's getting $33 million a year. He's now the 6th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And once again, even though he got a raise this offseason, doesn't this make the Nico Collins deal and how they're handling the whole Nico Collins wide receiver one with his contract? I feel like it makes it look that much better. Like the fact that Chris Olave, a guy who we talk about Nico's injuries, Chris Olave might be and probably is more often injured than Nico Collins has been throughout his career. And he's got $33 million on a new contract. Now, I know they have Tyler Shuck, so they aren't worried about paying the quarterback for a couple more years. But still, like when you look at the top paid wide receivers, JSN $42.15 million a year, Jamar Chase $40.25, Drake London $35.25, Justin Jefferson $35, and CeeDee Lamb $34. And then next up is Chris Olave. And currently, right now in LA, Puka Nacua is holding out. So I feel like that when I saw that news, I was like, man, Nick Caserio, hats off to you. How you're able to keep our guys in reasonable contracts, because I feel like where Nico's getting paid right now is perfect for, his value to this team. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver. I think he's great, but I would not want to pay Nico Collins $40 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely could be a case to justify that, because him being a big X receiver that changes your whole offense, that can allow you to do other stuff where he can just sit on the backside and win one-on-ones and change the entire way a defense covers you. There's very few guys that are like that, like him, A.J. Brown, and I'm kind of a little analytical here, but like I'm talking like your 6'4", 220-pound receivers that run 4.4s that move like they're 6 foot, 180 pounds. It's very, very rare. There's not a lot of dominant X receivers like that. So, but yeah, I believe his APY is like $24.5 million, and that was obviously done several years ago. And the reason why at the time when they extended Nico Collins, it was a very controversial topic. And to me, it's like, it's a no brainer. Like, he had 1 year, everyone wanted him to prove it again. It's like, we've already seen it. Like, we know what we got. And at the time, I want to say he was like 7th or 8th on the list, and he quickly, slipped out of the top 10. Now he's probably like top 15. But And so you paid him early. So, this is the big thing about Caserio. He's kind of like Howie Roseman with the Eagles. Like, you get ahead of it. The sooner you do it, the more time you have to take advantage of the ever rising salary cap. So, and then also too, like, we did that. It's been the biggest steal of a contract in the league and still is. He was probably unhappy. And so what did they do? They adjusted his contract, and all they did was just give him more guaranteed money. Yeah. So, like, you're talking about maybe he may get hurt and you may lose up to X amount. But it's like, even if that were to happen, like, the production you've gotten from him, if you were to recalculate the APY based on the games that he's played, it would still be a steal. So, like, that's a much better way to do it. Like, I'm surprised he even went for the adjustment. Like, I know I get the side too. It's like, you can't complain. You signed the contract, but I mean, dude, I love the way Caserio's doing it. But then on Olave personally, I think that's probably, I would get the injury concerns. And with him, the injuries aren't just like soft tissue. It's like brain concussions, to where it's like, could this guy have 2 or 3, 4 more and retire? So I mean, that's kind of scary. But I've always thought that he is a very good talent. And I guess the last thing that I'll note that, like, I'm starting to learn more about this and try to think this way when I'm been talking about the CJ Stroud contract extension. And we all get guilty of it, and I was in the past. But we all want to look at APY, just raw numbers, and be like, oh, he's getting more, he's getting less. There is nuance. It takes into account of when that person signed their deal. You can't, like, for example, this is a different position, but like Trevor Lawrence got $55 million per year 2 years ago when the cap was like 230, 250. So if CJ Stroud were to get $55 million this year when the cap is $301 million, that's not the same. That's not accounting for inflation. So yeah, that's just a little context there. It's annoying and boring, but
little math for the audience, just help us out with that. And I'm so glad, Stressans, that you brought up CJ Stroud and you brought up that contract, because little segue here. That was actually my next point that I wanted to talk about, because another big thing that came out was, and I found it a little, maybe not strange, but I found it kind of odd, I would say. We had the one-on-one with Baker Mayfield and Jeremy Fowler right after practice. They're, have practice, right? They're on the field, and Baker is talking about how he's being disrespected by the front office on the practice field. He's literally just worked out. He's in his pads. He just everything. And he's saying, I got disrespected. He said, and he was very blunt and honest. He said, they didn't give me the amount of years. He said they didn't want to offer him more than 2 years. They said they didn't want to offer him in the $50 million a year range for him being a franchise quarterback, and the guarantees. He said all three, length, APY, and guarantees, all of them he felt shortchanged by a lot by this Tampa Bay team. And that makes me wonder, with all the stuff we talk about with Stroud's contract, we haven't heard anytime and it has been brought up a lot. You and I see you in the chat whenever they're doing all the press conferences. Obviously, if you need to know anything from the press conferences, give my guy Stressans a follow on X, because he is
all up on that.
He is the quickest clip. He is the quickest guy to get the pinpoint exact things that you want to know from the press conference. It was asked to every single person, to the water boy, to the trainer, to Pitre, to Will Anderson, to D'Amico Ryan, Nick Caserio. Everybody was asked about CJ Stroud's contract. And it seems like it's a very civil situation compared to a lot of other, contract disputes, like Baker Mayfield, who he's having a one-on-one with Jeremy Fowler, to, Puka Nacua, who's holding out with the Rams right now. Like, I feel like the Stroud situation is, even though like it is looming, we're all kind of looking down the road of like, okay, like how much is he going to get paid? It seems pretty civil at this point, and it seems like it's in a good direction to where it's going to be good for both sides. And it seems like Nick Caserio has done that with a lot of players, where it's good for you and it's good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was trying to look it up, but if you could tell me how many years are left on Baker's current contract?
I believe this is the final year, but the Bucs can franchise tag him. He hasn't gotten franchise tag in his career. So
so he's going into a contract year. Stroud has 2 more years left. And so that's the problem. Like, the Texans wouldn't even be at this point. They would have already paid him. And this is like the Jerry Jones method of like, we're going to wait and we're going to drag it out. It's going to be like a Micah Parsons deal. You're going to have the player disgruntled. Now they're going to, the front office and owners probably be like, screw you. And now it's going to be an ugly back and forth. So like, again, like we talked about Caserio getting ahead of things. The main thing is you can take advantage of the ever rising salary cap and inflation. But the other part of it is you avoid all this friction. Like, let's just say in the end, you do pay Baker. Like, there still was all that lead up. And even though it might be all fine and Gucci, like that stuff still lingers in the back of your mind of the players, not only his, but the teammates. And like, you're the next guy get paid. Like, well, shoot, like there was drama with him. Like, I'm about to deal with this crap too, like, so I think that's part of it. I think another layer to this too is like, I didn't know all the details, like you mentioned, that it happened in that format and he mentioned all that stuff. But I think that this is a reminder that he isn't as good as a quarterback as CJ Stroud. Like, that can be a debate, but like, if that's what's going on, like if they waited till the last year and they're offering him not even $50 million and not even guaranteed in a 2-year contract, that means that he isn't being viewed how many Texans fans are viewing Baker, how we should trade for Baker right now. Like, that's the biggest indictment right there.
This is where I'll push back a little bit because Baker is a little older, right? CJ Stroud's still under 25.
But that's a factor.
Baker's 31. This is also, he's bounced around the NFL. He was with the Browns. He was with the Panthers for a short stint. Then he went that weird half season with the Rams and Sean McVay until he finally landed in Tampa Bay. I think, and when you sign a contract, it's all about the future. I think if you're
for
paying,
sure, yeah.
If
upside,
if we're signing both guys to 1-year contracts, I would argue maybe Baker Mayfield is the better player to go 1 year. Like if we're equal contracts, all things considered 1 year. But I agree with you in that if we're looking at a projection-based league, which that's what we're in, with CJ Stroud against Baker Mayfield, and this is where a lot of Texans fans who are like, no way do you pay CJ Stroud. He sucks. Like like all this, that, and the other. Bill Barnwell put out an article that a lot of NFL GMs, a lot of executives around the league would pay 2 first-round picks plus to trade for CJ Stroud. And everybody is ready to just kick him off to the wayside, which is a little bit of an annoyance for me.
And what is he, 24 years old? Like, he's not only is he a young player, like year-wise, but also like age-wise. But
he's
exactly. So like, I mean, like a lot of them, like all these guys that got drafted after him, they're, like you mentioned, Tyler Shuck, other guys. But yeah, so I was going to point that out too. So that's definitely a reason why he's probably getting less. That is definitely a huge part of it, is like the future and like the upside, like you try and project. And that's what Caserio and D'Amico said in the press conference, or Caserio said it. He said, like, when you're extending a player, you're not looking at just now, you're looking at the future. Like, and so you've invested this time in developing Stroud and you see the trajectory. And I would argue another element too with Baker is the way he plays the game. Like, it's a volatile, risky, if you're going to invest money in a quarterback who freaking is, which is awesome. Like, it's good and bad. It's a double-edged sword. He can go win you games. But look at last year. Did you watch the quarterback series on Netflix? The guy was getting hit left and right. Yeah, Texans games when it all started. But but he was putting himself in those positions. Obviously, Stroud got an injury from running too, but it's just because he doesn't know how to slide. But like, Baker is like running every chance he gets. Like, it's good, but also bad. Yes, yeah. So I mean, that's definitely got to be a factor there too. But
CJ Gardner-Johnson was cashing checks that he couldn't, or putting checks out that he couldn't cash. Like that, basically
that was all on him. And then
all of it was on him. But yeah, I do find it very interesting, and I'm very interested to see how that saga goes out, because obviously they can use the franchise tag on him. I think it'll get very contentious if they do, even though he'll get paid handsomely. The franchise tag, it'll be, they take the average value of, I believe it's the top 5 paid at that position. So you're looking at it. Mahomes is at, I think, 63. Dak is at 60. And then you have a slew of guys at 55. So he's going to make around 55. It'll be a 1-year deal with no guarantees really past that. But I do think it'll be a little contentious if they get to that point. And I do wonder if a couple other teams are going to be looking at that situation, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have, they have Aaron Rodgers, and he said that this is actually it. He said this is his final year. You have the New York Jets, who, I'm sorry, Geno Smith, I don't think you are the future of the New York Jets. And you have the Arizona Cardinals, who they drafted Carson Beck. They have Jacoby Brissett, but that's not really the solution for them moving forward. There's quite a few teams that are going to be looking at quarterback, and kind of that thought also into the back of my mind says, I don't want the Texans to be one of those teams. Like, I don't want the Texans to be in that slew of teams that are, like begging Baker Mayfield to come join them, or, hoping that a draft pick falls to them or falls their way, or trying to trade up for a draft pick. Like, we always get into the dangerous situation of, oh, this guy, like I remember a world where Spencer Rattler was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. I remember a world where this year
Carson Beck was supposed to be.
Drew Aller. Like, you never know how the college football season is going to play out and how good these guys are going to be. So that's why I will never want to tank for Tua. Like, Tua now is maybe on his last stop in Atlanta, and he is
crazy.
I don't know. Like, he might not end up, getting another contract past this, or maybe be a perennial backup. But if you're the Texans, you know what you have in CJ Stroud. Maybe he's not a top 5 guy. Maybe he'll never be a top 5 guy, but he is baseline a good quarterback.
Yeah, and I guess like when I'm talking on this too, like I think I don't know why, but I'm in the minority, but I do think he's being heavily over criticized, and like all of a sudden now he's like the worst quarterback in the world. And it's like it's recency bias with the last game he played. And I think there's underlying hate that's factored into this from maybe his media podcast tour, the Caleb Williams things. But yeah, like you mentioned too, like the walking, like I get it, like he does look goofy walking, but it's like anything this man does is like so polarizing, dude. It's crazy.
I work in an office with 40 other guys. Chat Sports, we cover every single NFL team. When I tell you I was fighting for my life, the amount of, this dude looks like he just mowed grass. This dude, he looks like he's walking like he, crapped himself. He's wearing these like beat up shoes. Like I was defending this man up and down, and it was just preposterous that our guy can't even walk into the building without everybody. The U.S. soccer team loses to Belgium, and all of a sudden I look on Twitter and I see pictures of C.J. Stroud on Christian Pulisic's face, like on it, like an AI picture of him. Like,
it's been a long summer.
It has been long, and that's why I tweeted out. One of my buddies, Marshall Green, he put my face on the C.J. Stroud picture of him walking to the building, and he was sending it around. He was getting his good laughs. And I was like, man, I need CJ to be good this year. Like, I need it. Yeah. Like, I need oxygen.
I think he will, but like, so that specific video, like, I mean, I don't really like get upset about it. I get it. I mean, he does kind of walk a little goofy or whatever, but like, I mean, it is what it is, but it's just like, it's just funny at the same time. But, like the comments, like, he doesn't have aura, like he doesn't look like a quarterback. Like, there's plenty of other times where you look at him like, this guy looks like a stud, and like he plays like one too. So, but yeah, I mean, all this is just compounding. Like, he's locked in the offseason. And I've been saying this too, like last year, if the Texans were never going to win the Super Bowl anyways, which in my opinion, I don't think they were. Like, we all think that all you had to do was just go beat New England, this team that was the number 2 seed, but they were overrated and young, had the easiest schedule of all time. All you had to do was just go beat them. And then you get to go face the, Bo Nix-less Broncos, which I think we still lose that game. If you played that way, not just Stroud, but the whole offense in general, like you're going to lose the next game probably. And damn sure if you win that, you're not going to beat Seattle. So my point being is, if you weren't going to win the Super Bowl, you might as well have lost in a fashion like that kind of forced the main guy to have to lock the heck in. Like, he's had no choice. And like, we haven't heard a peep from him. Like, I think we're going to benefit from that.
And that leads us to our next topic that I wanted to discuss with you about, is the run game, because people like to put that New England game on Stroud. The leading rusher for the Texans that game had less than 20 yards. Woody Marks. I believe he had 18 yards.
And a fumble in the red zone.
And a fumble
in the game.
And that's why I think the addition of David Montgomery is going to be huge. Once again, really quick, our friends over at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. All you got to do, pick 2 to 6 players, go more or less on their stat projections, watch the winnings roll in. It is available in most states, including Texas, California, and Florida. It is almost football season. I'm so freaking ready. So get locked in and get ready. You can actually copy this lineup and all my lineups, Jeremy_Chugs. And talking about that is David Montgomery. He is in my lineup, 774.4 rushing yards. I'm going the more on that. You can copy my lineup or make your own. Just use code HMA, new offer. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Use code HMA. That's code HMA at sign up. $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. And going back to David Montgomery real quick, in that we were talking about contracts. We were talking about the Texans. They needed a better run game. But also, I mean, maybe I'm just giving Nick Caserio way too much praise here. I was looking at more contract situations around the league, Stressans. You
Hmm.
also have Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan
Hmm.
Robinson both holding in right now. And
Yep.
they want in the range of 23 to $25 million
Whew.
a year on a new contract. And there was even some rumblings of Bijan wanting closer to 30 million, which I think that's kind of crazy for a running back. And you look at the top paid running back, Saquon Barkley, who was a second away from being a Texan. He's getting
Yep.
paid $20 million. Christian McCaffrey, 19. Devon Achane, 16. Brees Hall, who the Texans were heavily rumored to want last year but couldn't get a trade done, 15 million. Derrick Henry, 15. And then Kenneth Walker at 14.35 million. Texans this offseason were able to get David Montgomery for 8.25 million. So,
Steal.
and D'Amico, he has not been coy at all. He is very blunt. He's very straight to the point. He said our run game sucked last year. Our run game was not it. And for a defensive minded coach, you would think the one thing you want on offense is a good run game.
Yeah.
If you're a defensive guy, you're like, and the one thing I loved about, the mic'd up with D'Amico in that playoff game against the Steelers is
Run the damn ball, make them quit. Dude, that turned me up. I'm like, yes.
You could imagine. I can only imagine, right? Like how mad D'Amico was in that Patriots game when we couldn't run the ball.
Just saw like this. I think a lot of that was the linchpin of Trent Brown. Game time decision goes down and it puts the whole O-line in flux.
Yeah.
And so now this year, I think the biggest thing about the O-line is the depth is way, way better, bro. Like Trent Brown is now likely projected to be a backup to Braden Smith. I got a battle, but I mean, you're not going to be relying on just one player. And I've been saying, like, I think our backup 5 are almost just as good, if not better, than our starting 5 from last year. So you have a lot of depth of guys that are versatile. But yeah, you talk about the run game. And it's funny too, like D'Amico Ryans has had this vision, and it's annoying to a lot of fans. And, in this day and age with fantasy and scoring touchdowns, but like he is a boring, old school conservative coach. But to me, it's kind of refreshing because, lately it's gotten to where everything's just wide open shootouts. But like he wants to win the game with dominant defense, ball control on offense, field position, punting the ball. And it's not sexy, but like if you can get an offense to complement his defense, then you can start to get a lead, and then it can compile and snowball. And now we have yet to see games where this defense has been in advantageous situations time and time again with multiple, score leads to pin their ears back. Like we haven't really allowed that to happen. They've been having to like make up for the offense messing up. But you're right. He wants to run the ball. And that's been the issue too, is like he spent so much time, in my opinion, early on getting his defense set up, the coaches, the staffs, the scouting on how he wants it. And then just last year is when we like really saw after he fired Slowick. It happened late in the second year. He kind of got involved, and then he fired Slowick. And then from the jump, when he got Kaylee, he deferred play calls early on to Matt Burke, and he's had his hands more in the offense. So he has had a terrible run game, and you can tell like a lot of these moves are being made by him. And it's tough. Like he wants his coordinators to be run first, but the personnel hasn't been great, or he's just delegated it to them and they haven't done a good job. So, and yeah, if you want to be a run team first and you're still sticking with it with bad performance and bad personnel, it just makes it worse, where maybe we could have been at times better, more adaptive to be, a pass and a spread type offense, but then that wouldn't complement the defense. But like what I'm saying is like, I think he's finally getting it to be in a place to what he wants it to be. And it should be great. Like you re-solidified the O-line, the interior, David Montgomery. He was a guy that I targeted when I heard he was a trade target. Like he is a perfect fit for this inside downhill physical scheme. So, I mean, I'm getting irrationally like optimistic about this team overall because of that aspect.
And I'm still huge on Woody Marks. Like I was like, a lot of people were maybe shocked whenever Jane Slater reported that the Texans are going to have a running back by committee kind of split between Woody Marks and David Montgomery. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to, go a little bit at 20 personnel next year, like 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers out there, like kind of work that a little bit more. But I think Woody Marks, rookie season kind of thrown into the fire. They did not expect him to be that number 1 guy. Obviously the whole
still
situation.
Did well.
Yeah, I think he still played well. I know people will point to the yards per carry, this, that, and the other, But, I think all things considered, he was a really good back, and they didn't draft him to be the downhill runner, be the main guy. He was drafted to be that secondary scat back, that guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's what he was the best at in college at
He caught 80 plus passes in a season at Mississippi State, bro. like how many passes did he catch last year? But like when he did catch passes, they were awesome.
And now he's kind of open to kind of be more of that role, that change of pace guy next to David Montgomery. I was reading the Harris Hits on the practice today, and he was kind of hyping up Noah Whittington. That kind of had me a little, jazzed up. And shout out to
he hyped up Jawar the day before as well.
Shout out to Jacob Isaac World. This is a good point right here. The Texans did host Alexander Madison, along with they hosted another running back as well. If I could find that real quick, but they hosted 2 running backs today. I saw Aaron Wilson post it a little bit ago. If I can only find that post.
Yeah, while you look for it, I can talk on it. So I saw that, and normally like when I see these workouts, I kind of put on my tinfoil hat and like, oh, what happened? Who's injured? And I didn't really do it when I saw that they were working out receivers, which, Jalen Knowles' injury happened. The Casario said it happened like a few days before practice. So I do think that they just do their due diligence and work guys out in case things happen. But this is like, we're working out a couple of running backs. Like, are we about to hear about an injury? And hopefully it seems like the top 3 are healthy. Maybe a back end guy.
Hassan Haskins, the former
Haskins.
My boss is going to flame me for that. He is he actually hosts our Michigan Wolverines channel. He is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Wolverine fan that I know. So yeah, it was Hassan Haskins was the other running back that they went ahead and worked out today. But yeah, I mean, I do think the Texans are in a good spot with those 2 guys. My worry is, I get they're hyping up Jawar Jordan. I get they're hyping up Noah Whittington. My only worry is if there's an injury to David Montgomery or Woody Marks, are those 2 guys ready to step in and be the, RB2? Because I know the Texans, they want to, put some miles on these running backs. They want to put some tread on those tires. Like, they want to run the ball. And is Jawar Jordan ready to carry the ball 15 times if needed, like 20 times if needed in a game? Is Noah Whittington, who's a UDFA? Like, I know they really like
British Brooks. Don't forget about British Brooks. He's been slimming up too. British Brooks said he lost like 10 to 20 pounds towards the end of last season, and he had some good snaps late when he was lighter, as you could tell. And he said he lost even more weight. So like, that's kind of crazy. But I think Jawar Jordan could. And like, what I like about the current makeup of the room is Woody Marks, although he is like a scat back and undersized, like, I was surprised at how good and tough he was at running in between the tackles. Like, he was almost a better runner in between the tackles than he was out wide, but he can do a lot in the pass game. They said he's been working. I think the Montgomery signing is actually better for him. And as far as the Jane Slater report, she initially kind of like misspoke, or it got taken wrong. She was just saying like they want Woody to perform well, but like she wasn't like putting numbers on what it's going to be. But, David Montgomery should open things up for Woody Marks. I agree. I would like to see 2 back sets. And Woody Marks, I talked to him at his charity bowling event. He said back in the spring that he's been working with receivers like on routes and releases. So if you go a 2 back set, and now like the whole Patriot stuff is about mismatches, and then you can flex Woody out and get him on a backer. And now it's essentially like 11 personnel, and he's the 3rd receiver. So, I mean, you can get creative with that. But Jawar Jordan, to me, I like the mix up as far as bruiser Montgomery. Woody Marks is kind of like a small bruiser and a scat back, but Jawar Jordan is like the slasher, the wide zone guy. Like last year, the first game he started against the Cardinals, this is what I like too about Nick Caley. He adapted the game plan for his personnel, and that was our first 100-yard rusher of the season, and they ran all wide zone. When we had been predominantly an inside running team, they said, hey, this guy's good at this. Let's run it. And he crushed it. So now you kind of have like a different style, different pace. So I like the mix and the makeup, but depth could be a concern, but that would be plenty of injuries. But hopefully we don't get to that point.
And I'm very hopeful on David Montgomery as well. Like, I have his stats up on screen, and I know the past 2 years he's kind of been the second fiddle, but he's still, as the lead back in 2023, averaged 4.6 yards a carry, 13 total touchdowns for the Lions. So, he has proven that he can still, be that guy and be, a really good player for, a team if they need him to be the number 1. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I did have one more news and note about, the other news and note that I had, the San Francisco 49ers They signed Deebo Samuel because Ricky Pearsall looks like he might be done for the year. And there's a couple
That's
kind of
insane.
Texans ties to this one. One,
Yep.
when you think of Ricky Pearsall, when he was drafted, that's when Stroud was on his whole tour and he did the live with Micah Parsons. And, Ricky Pearsall gets drafted and Stroud, oh my God, oh no. Like he did the whole like, oh, I can't believe it. No,
Yeah.
no. And were the Texans really ever going to draft Ricky Pearsall? Like maybe in the second round, maybe I don't know what their whole designation with him was, but Stroud seemed very upset when the 49ers drafted Pearsall. Looks like it's a good decision. Now, obviously you don't want to say that because of all the injuries he's been through and everything.
I can't catch a break, but yeah, and it was considered a reach at the time. He was in the first round, right? Like he was like a projected second, third rounder.
31.
Yeah.
And then they went ahead, signed Deebo Samuel. But the other connection there is one of the free agent signings that the 49ers made. They signed Christian Kirk in free agency along with Mike Evans. So my question to you is, will Christian Kirk have more yards this season than maybe, let's say, combined Tank Dell and Jalen Knoll? Because we're looking at slot guys. We're looking at the two guys that the Texans have coming up of the reason of why they didn't really re-sign Christian Kirk, or at least feel the need to re-sign Christian Kirk. Who do you think has more yards? Do you think it's the combination of Tank Dell and Jalen Knoll, or do you think it is Christian Kirk?
Oh, that for sure. I mean, obviously Tank Dell health dependent. Even not like even Knoll himself might outdo him. I think for me, like a fair way to do that, like I would say like the slot position for the Texans as a whole, as opposed to the slot position for the Niners as a whole. Christian Kirk is more of that vertical threat slot. So like he's catching like deep posts and corners. He was supposed to do some of the underneath stuff and really wasn't that great at it. But in that offense, they like to really, have that role in there. But like if you were to pair him with Deebo, who now can do some maybe more of the underneath stuff, potentially with his little gadget type stuff, and you were to compare Knoll and Tank, which I think Tank still might be outside more, or, it seems like the slot position for the Texans may, invoke a lot of these bigger bodied guys. Like Jayden Higgins is getting more and more, it seems like, early on. And D'Amico talked about it, reps in the slot, Xavier Hutchinson, because that's just kind of their style, the bigger body guys. So I would say, like, to answer your first question, I would say I would take Tank and Knoll for sure over Kirk. But if you were to kind of do it to make it more fair, in my opinion, like Deebo and Kirk versus, let's just say, Knoll and Tank, or Knoll and Lewis Bond if he emerges, or Knoll and whoever plays the other amount of slots, then that may be closer, I would say. So
I don't want to offend Lewis Bond FC, but are you a believer in the 6th round pick out of Boston College? I get he's a good player, but I don't really see him seeing the field that much. Like, especially if the Texans do want to run the ball more, if they want to go more 2 tight end sets, that's telling me that, I mean, do they even keep 6 wide receivers? Like, I know that he has a lot of talent, and I know there's kind of the factor of he comes from a Bill O'Brien offense, which is very similar to what the Texans are going to run with Nick Haley. But do you have high hopes for Lewis Bond? Because there's a whole fan club, there's a whole Twitter following of their huge Lewis Bond fans. I'm not totally there yet. I think he is a sneaky good pick. Our draft guy at Chat Sports, Jack Sperry, give him a follow on X if you're watching as well. He does some great draft content. He was actually telling me that Lewis Bond was one of his biggest sleepers in the draft, and I think he's a good player, but I don't really see him seeing the field that much this season.
I mean, it's hard for me to say declarative. Like I just know when we drafted him, I honestly, personally did not know much about him because I really personally did not scout a ton of receivers for the Texans in the draft because I didn't think that we needed to add very many. And he's obviously on the back end. But like as soon as I dove in and kind of saw his tape and saw his skill sets, I was like, I like this, and this is a need for this offense. I think that we do need that type of skill set. I think Jalen Knoll is like Christian Kirk. He's more of a vertical threat from the slot. Maybe he can be like that underneath, option route kind of guy. But I do feel like we need that underneath, smart, savvy, tough contested catch guy, like a Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Keenan Allen, like that type of guy. You may not be like the most explosive or most flashy, but you're savvy and you're tough, and you can do that from an undersized frame. But like you mentioned, a good point, you got to be a good blocker. So I don't know. We heard good reports in the spring about how he did good, and I kind of see some of the clips where he's doing the catching stuff, but the pads haven't been on. So like maybe that catching isn't what we think it could be, but then the blocking is a huge part of it. Like Jalen Noel did not play nearly as much as all of us wanted, but like probably a big part of that was one, he probably wasn't a great blocker, I assume. And two, he probably didn't know the offense that well, like all this complex Earnhardt Perkins stuff, which, you know, Lewis Bond should have that. Like you mentioned, he played for Bill O'Brien in a similar offense at Boston College. So it's hard for me to say, like, but I like the skill sets and like the background, but I would have to watch him. But I will say he's going to get some great opportunities with Jalen Noel being out for a couple of weeks with that finger issue going on. So we'll probably know pretty soon. But I know it's annoying anybody who follows me, but I've been beating the drum to sign Keenan Allen. He is a perfect, if you are all in, you just saw one of the other veteran receivers go off the market. You now have Keenan Allen, and the only other receiver that I would consider would be Stephon Diggs. Those two fit the role that I'm talking about perfect. That, you know, bigger, tougher, savvy, contested catch guy. They're not like quick as hell, but they're smart. Like even when Stephon Diggs was here, he played the slot for us. He was that security blanket. CJ Stroud knew, okay, if this guy's blitzing and Steph's here, I know he's going to turn his head. He's going to catch the ball. And if it's in traffic, he's going to come down with it. Like he's a tough, gritty guy. So Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs, obviously there's baggage and stuff. Okay, whatever. He may be more. But like Deebo Samuel just went for up to $7 million. Keenan Allen should be cheap as hell. They wanted to get him 2 years ago. They had a better trade offer for him than the Bears, but they traded him to the Bears for a lesser round pick because it kept him out of the conference. So there's history there. They've specifically targeted veteran slot receivers the past 2 years. I don't know if they'll do it now, but to me, that's the dream. It's like, and then like you don't draft him to be a star, you draft him to play that specific role. He's your chain mover.
My question to you is, if you sign somebody like a Keenan Allen, I know D'Amico, this team, they have been hyping up Jayden Higgins up and down. Does that take snaps away from him? Does that hurt his development at all? Because, you know, we've been saying like they want to use more tight ends. They want to use more running backs. They want to, you know, you can only have 5 position players on the field at a time, right? Like, so if you're having 2 tight end sets, if you're having 2 running back sets, does Keenan Allen take snaps away from a, you know, Jayden Higgins, from a Tank Dell, from a Jalen Noel? Like, does he take snaps away from those guys who we want to see develop a little bit more this season? Like, that would be my only worry is like, and I guess your point is you're all in this season, so you don't have time to develop. You don't have time to see how these guys turn out. You have to go with whoever you think is going to be best this season. But, you know, I think, you know, Jayden Higgins was basically a first round pick. He was pick 34. They traded out of round 1. He was the second pick in round 2. So I view Jayden Higgins as a first round pick. If you sign Keenan Allen, does that take away from Jayden Higgins' development, who, you know, D'Amico Ryans has made it a point every press conference to say, Jayden Higgins has impressed me so much. The year 2 bump for Jayden Higgins. He is faster. He's stronger. He's bigger. He's faster. You know, 5% luck, 20% skill, 50% concentrated power. Like, he's been all over Jayden Higgins. Like, do you think that takes away from him?
It would not take away from Jayden Higgins, because Jayden Higgins primarily is he is an X type receiver and probably should play X, but he's playing Z for us. And D'Amico said we needed someone to step up opposite of Nico, and they have been working him into the slot more. So the one that it would take away from production wise would be Jalen Noel, which, you know, but again, like if you look at it to where, like, if you look at it like you have 2 slot receivers, so when you do go 11 personnel, 3 receivers, you got Nico, Higgins, and then your slot. And Jalen Noel will be the guy that you want in there when you want to stretch the field. And Keenan Allen will be the guy in there when you want to underneath, you know, 3rd and short, or you want to get a couple yards. So if he comes in, but Tank Dell is tough because like I want to see if they'll put him in the slot more, which I don't know. Obviously, we don't know his health. So I mean, I get this, like it's tough, but like I would much rather have like more options and then like it sort itself out than like, oh, well, we got this guy and that guy and maybe this guy, so we shouldn't do it. But like if it's just like and this would also have to be like he would have to want to come here and like you would have to be like, hey, bro, like we'll take you, but like you're a vet specific role. But another point too is like it would potentially, you know, in the short term, potentially hinder Jalen Noel's production in the slot and development. But in the long term, you now have a freaking mastermind technician route runner who knows, who's seen every defense, he knows every technique to now teach you the way. Like worst case, Keenan Allen's a bust, but he's there mentally and can like teach you the way to like be the man. So like that's kind of the context. I mean, I don't think that they have to do it. I think it would be great to have it though.
It is an all-in style move though, because like
Yeah.
you said, Keenan Allen, he has the skins on the wall. He's obviously been a great receiver in this league for a long time, and adding him, it's a double-edged sword. Like you said, it takes snaps away from guys, but maybe more valuable than that, they can, know these other guys can learn from what Keenan Allen knows and, his depth of knowledge. And he's been in multiple offenses, and he's been with, he was with Ben Johnson with the Chicago Bears. He's been with the LA Chargers, and he knows, I would say the small technique things that you learn over the years, right? Like rookies are great because they are just like a flash, like they come out, but there's something about the year 4, year 5 wide receiver, and then on where it's like 2 steps ahead of the game. Like even if you lose a step, you still know how to get yours. Like the old man at the Y, like you know that dude knows how to get his shot, and Keenan Allen knows how to get his.
And so, like, the last thing I would say too, like, you could still get him, and if Noel is better, then he just doesn't play as much, like, and so, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you get him on these conditions, like, we're not going to give you anything. Like, hopefully you will get some reps, but like, and what you need from him is like, you don't need a lot of stats. You just need meaningful catches. Like, you need like chain moving catches. Like, that 3rd and short conversion is like massive, dude. Like, even though he may not have like, obviously it would be 1,000 yards. Like if he had like 300 to 400 yards receiving, but it was like situational, it could go a long way. Someone that you put him in critical situations that Stroud can trust. Because my whole like thesis on all this is last year I noticed in this Earnhardt Perkins New England style system is, from what I saw on film, watching the reads, Stroud was like almost mostly right on the progressions and reads, and a lot of times the receivers were wrong. And as I watched throughout the year, people asked why he didn't throw here, he didn't throw there. Like, he didn't freaking trust anybody, bro. Like, because on these deals, like, we're like, okay, well, this happens, you break here, you have to trust them to do that. And like, if I throw it and you don't, the results can be catastrophic. It can be like a pick 6, and the quarterback's the one who looks like crap. So the only person that he trusted, like even Nico was struggling in this new offense, and you have less of the adjustments and freedoms as the outside receiver. But the only person that he trusted to read the defense the same way, and I saw it time and time again, was Dalton Schultz, and he was our leading receiver by receptions. So like that's my precipice on that, is like a veteran that you can trust in those situations when need be.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, let's get into this segment. I know it's gone a little bit longer.
I told you. I mean, if you need to like snap your finger and I'll just freaking stop.
All right, so we have our segment for today. Appreciate everybody. If you are watching right now, though, could you drop a like? Could you make sure you follow me and Stressans on X? Make sure you follow us, subscribe to both of our channels, because we're both putting in a ton of work. The football season's almost here, and I always say Texans fans are so lucky with the amount of good content creators they have. I saw Harley in there in the chat a little bit ago. I know he helped you with your Wyatt Teller interview. Aaron Wilson's doing a great job. There's a ton of great content creators out there, and me and Stressans are 2 of them. So if you could, go drop a like, go follow us on X, go follow us on IG, subscribe to the channels, because it helps us out a ton. So make sure to do that. Help us out a little bit. As a lot of people say, wipe those feet. You come in the house, make sure you wipe the feet, like the video, subscribe, do all the things, and help us out.
I need to learn how to do that part you just did there. I'm terrible. I just talk, and I don't even think about reminding people. You're great at that.
It's just a little reminder, just go drop a like, a little like, just tickle the like button a little bit.
I'm taking notes right now. I need to do better at that.
So we do have a segment today. It is buy or sell. So another peek behind the curtain. I was starting to tell my guy Stressans, I was like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. These are the questions. He goes, no, do not tell me. He says, do not tell me.
I don't want to know.
These are off the cuff, so these are going to be his first reaction, and all I need from you is buy or sell, and then tell me why. So I'm going to give you a bunch of different top storylines around the Texans. You're going to tell me if you're buying it, if you're selling it, and why you feel that way. All right?
All right.
All right, cool.
Hope it doesn't backfire on me here.
We're going to do an awkward little pause because I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'm going to put it on the channel later for everybody. So I'm going to give like a little 3-second pause, and then we're going to get started. It's going to sound like we're starting the whole live over again, but nobody worry. We're just starting a new segment, and I'm going to put this on the channel later. And we might clip some stuff. Me and Stressans might have some cool content to put out there later on. All right, so here we go. Welcome into Texans Today, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, here with my guy, Stressans, one of the best in the business, with a little buy or sell. So I'm going to go through a bunch of topics around the Houston Texans, and my guy, Stressans, is going to tell me whether he's buying or selling and why. So the first question I have for you, my good sir, Jayden Higgins will be a top 10 wide receiver 2 by season's end. Are you buying or are you selling?
First, I'm going to say top 10 overall, but yeah, wide receiver 2. Yeah. I mean, he's, a lot of raving by D'Amico Ryans early on in camp. They're using him in the slot more, moving him around. And, I felt like he was untapped last year. He's got a lot of athletic ability, size, frame, potential. I feel like him and CJ Stroud just didn't quite have that connection going down. It sounds Stroud the other day when he spoke to the media, spoke highly of him as well. And the first thing he said is like, he's learning, he's growing, he's asking more questions, he's listening. So that means that he's getting the offense down. I think he might've struggled a little bit with this, supposedly complex offense. So yeah, I mean, you saw what he did as a rookie, in a complex offense, and he was like our best red zone target threat. So absolutely, dude, I think he's going to thrive this year.
Awesome. Well, like you said, D'Amico, he definitely is, to a point where he is hyping him up, and he is to a point where he has all of us believing that Jayden Higgins can be a wide receiver 2. And I told you this earlier. I view Jayden Higgins as a first-round pick. He was pick 34. Yep. The Texans traded back. I have high expectations for him this season. And I think a lot of this also goes to the Stephon Diggs comments a week and a half ago saying, I'm better than every single wide receiver 2 on every other team. And it made me look of like, okay, is Diggs better than Jayden Higgins? Like, do we need to bring in Stephon Diggs? So I feel like if we are buying that Jayden Higgins is a wide receiver 2, a top 10 wide receiver 2, then maybe we don't need the likes of Jayden Higgins, even though I know you're a Keenan Allen guy. I know we talked earlier on the live show about you loving Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, number one fan over here. But I do think
Jayden for this Higgins, offense in a specific role.
for this offense, disclaimer at the bottom, for this offense in this role. But
I know, but I am a big fan of his in general. He's underrated.
I'm excited for Jayden Higgins as well. Question number 2, buy or sell? We will see vintage Tank Dell this season. Are you buying or are you selling?
Dude, that's a tough one. The workout videos are sick. He's not on the pup, but he's not on the pup because they want him to be able to be in team drills. They're ramping him up. It sounds like it's more of a D'Amico thing holding him back. I would say I'll say buy, because at the very least we'll see flashes of it. We'll see, I don't know, when he'll be back health-wise, if he may not start the year, if it may be 2, 3, 4 weeks later. And who knows, like, hopefully not, but maybe something could happen again where he might miss some games. But I think when he's out there, he'll make plays. And if he's on the field, that means he's good to go. Him and CJ Stroud have an innate connection. And I would say the one thing about Tank Dell that a lot of people either don't mention or may not realize is he's actually a very, very smart receiver. And I always keep harping on the intelligence and as a receiver in this offense and reading defense and all that stuff. He's got that down. And the other thing too about him is him being smart is also like the innate sense of like just the natural feel. In CJ Stroud's rookie year, Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, even in the second year in the scramble drill, that's his guy. And it's because they just think and see it the same way. Like, think of that Cardinals play in 2023 where he just turned up field for like an awesome touchdown. So my answer would be yes to that.
Okay, we are buying that Tank Dell is going to get back to his vintage ways, which I think all of us Houstonians, all of us Texans fans would love to see. I mean, the storyline itself, him, texting and messaging with the Texans saying, keep me in Houston. He went to U of H, was a great player there, and just loves the city. And I think the city loves him back. So I think we would like nothing more than to see Tank Dell thrive this season once again, changing the number, actually right over your shoulder. He was wearing number 3 before. Now he's wearing number 1. So hopefully, he's able to get back to that, get back to those ways that he had his rookie and sophomore season. And I do think there is something to the fact of CJ feels way more comfortable with him. And something you said is that I feel like CJ didn't trust a lot of the guys last year. He has an innate trust in Tank Dell. He might not be the fastest, the biggest, the best receiver that we have on the roster, but I think he has the most trust from CJ Stroud. I don't know if you feel that same way, but it just feels like Stroud, he lets it loose. He lets it fly with Tank Dell because
he knows where he's going to be. And he has these mentally banked reps of having done it so much. And Tank Dell played in an offense that I played in college, actually for my same offensive coordinator, which is more of the Mike Leach, West Coast little air raid elements offense where they teach you the cerebral part of it. So I know for a fact, from him playing in that, I can see the way he plays that he learned a lot of that stuff and he sees it. He knows how to read a defense. Got a great feel for space, all that stuff.
Awesome. We're going to get to some more buying and selling in just a moment, but I am buying our friends over at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. It is the place to go because football season, it's right around the corner. Baseball is in full swing right now. The Astros are 500 all of a sudden. They have a chance, and it seems like they might be able to win something, and you can win some cash too with our friends over at Prize Picks. Super simple, super easy to use. Just pick 2 to 6 players, go more or less on their projected stats. If we're going baseball, you can go home runs, strikeouts, hits. With football, you can go touchdowns, interceptions, whatever you want. They got you covered. Available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. New users, listen up. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups. If you win, just use the code HMA when you sign up. That's right. Prize Picks just switched it up, so there's no better time to join, lock in, and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. This is the lineup that I have for the season long. I'm going less on Trevor Lawrence because, of course, it's Trevor Lawrence, and you can't have all players on one team. You have to have somebody else from another team. So I just added Trevor Lawrence in there, just maybe a little jab at Jags fans. CJ Stroud, I'm going more on the passing touchdowns. David Montgomery, I'm going more on the rush yards. And then Will Anderson, I'm going more on the sacks. You can copy my lineup, make your own, do it with our friends over at Prize Picks. All right, you ready for the next question for you?
Let's do it.
Buying or selling that the Texans should not give CJ Stroud an extension before this season. They should wait until next offseason to give him a deal. Are you buying that or are you selling it?
So it's like a double negative, and I believe I'm going to say it right. So if I say it wrong, correct me. But I believe I am in the vast minority. I am selling that notion because I believe that they should extend him. Is that the correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. They should extend him. And it's funny, a lot of people, I went on a rant on my live stream last night, have just, because there's been no news up until yesterday about any kind of talks, it's been taken as the no news has been, and the fact that Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans are notoriously tight-lipped and don't leak anything. Because there's no news, it's been accepted as fact by fans, media, national media, etc., that the Texans aren't doing a deal. There's no news. They don't want to extend him. They want to make him prove it. And then you come out the first day of training camp, Nick Caserio is like, yeah, we've had great talks all through the spring. And then, D'Amico talks about I've heard about it. CJ Stroud multiple times, 2 separate interviews with the presser and then also with, Evan Washburn on NFL on CBS. It's going good. It's getting in the right direction. And it's like, okay, not only have they been talking, but it's all positive words about it. So 1, it's happening. And 2, my case is I know it boils down to whether you think he's good or not. And I kind of alluded to you earlier, but I think he's getting way, 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 way overhated. And it's recency bias, the last game of the year. There's a lot of context and nuance in it. He sucked. There's no way around it, but you can add context. You can add that it was in New England in a freaking blizzard. Your OC decided to throw the ball 40 plus times a game. You came out with a game plan, trying to throw the ball when you should have been running. I know the run game didn't work. It averaged 1 yards per carry, but you still could have stuck with the run and limited turnovers, especially when you saw he was struggling. There were no easy buttons. There were no screens through the whole year, much less in that game. We threw 1 screen to the running back and went for a first down. You didn't see any wide receiver screens. The whole game plan was built through Dalton Schultz, he said on Super Bowl Media Row after that. And he got hurt a quarter and a half in, and you kept the same game plan. And now instead of trying to throw it to Dalton Schultz, you're throwing to Harrison Bryant and Cade Stover. Nico Collins was out. Trent Brown was your starting right tackle. Game time decision went down. And now the whole shuffle happens to where Titus goes to right tackle, Jarrett Patterson left guard. The O-line got destroyed. I mean, so he sucked, but that all matters too. And even then, that's one game out of a litany of seasons. And I think people think that this season overall, the regular season, he was very good. Just because he didn't light it up and it wasn't flashy and sexy. It's ironic to me because everyone's kind of late to the party for the most part. Not everyone. A lot of people were late to the party as far as like realizing how good this defense was. And then when they did, all of a sudden now it's like, oh yeah, all you got to do is this. And so he did start to go into a game manager role. And that's what D'Amico wanted. Play conservative, throw the ball away. We got a good defense. And he leaned into it. And then when he did lean into it, it's like, well, then why aren't you throwing touchdowns and passes and yards? It's like, which one is it? Do you want to be game manager or do you want him to like be aggressive and turn the ball over? So I think that it starts too in the rookie year. His first season was an awesome season, but it was probably overstated a little bit, myself included. And then the next 2 years were over-criticized. So he's kind of been like in the same realm the whole time. But the big thing too is, are they convicted in him? Do they believe in him? Yes, he's young. You look at other young quarterbacks. To me, Trevor Lawrence, he got a deal 2 years ago when he was up after 3 years for $55 million APY at that time. He was a much more controversial decision. Like, it wasn't even considered that it was a possibility. And he not only got paid, but he got top of the market paid, and had nowhere near the production as Stroud. No playoff wins. It didn't go to the playoffs 3 years in a row and win playoff games. So to me, it lies in the belief that I think he's the guy. And if you do think he's the guy, then you do it now and you benefit by saving, because every year the cap goes up. But the big thing too is next year you got Drake May, you got Caleb Williams, you got probably Lamar Jackson, you got Bo Nix. Like, there's a whole bunch of quarterbacks entering the market. And Bryce Young. I mean, Bryce Young could get extended this year too. People like just assume that, organizations don't do what we think or want them to do. But yeah, so like in the logic too is like, okay, make him prove it. All he has to do is just, if the logic is like all he has to do is just play conservative, safe boy football and they can make a run. So if that's the case, they don't extend him. He plays super conservative and we make a run, not because of him, but because he doesn't blow it. But then now you have to pay him. So now you're going to pay a guy who you think isn't that great up to $7. Now he's going to want top of the market money. So, I think you do it now. You could save up to $10 million APY if you do it now.
My follow-up question to you, and we're actually doing this segment live if you're watching this on a later date. Senior Larry says, pay him in the range of $55 to $57 million a year. And I'm going to ask you, because right now the current top paid quarterbacks right now, the top two, Patrick Mahomes, I believe, is at 63 or 64, Dak Prescott at 60, and then you just have a slew of guys there at 55 million. Do you pay him in that range, or do you think the Texans can get away with paying him maybe Jared Goff money at 53 million? And in the chat, if you're watching at home or if you're watching on my channel or Stressans channel, let us know in the chat, how much would you pay CJ Stroud on a year by year APY basis? What do you think? Do you think 55, 57? Do you think that's the correct range, or where do you think he's getting paid?
People are going to think I'm crazy. So I've been working on this article all year and I keep going back to it. I got like a chronicalized, like every comment on him, like them standing by him after the game, all this stuff. I've dove into like the numbers, comps of other contracts. And the big thing is you want to compare things apples to apples when doing these contracts. And like the one way that teams and agents do this is, when you sign a deal, whatever your 55 million, your APY, it's your APY divided by the total cap at the year of signing. So Trevor Lawrence, when he signed for 55 million 2 years ago, which was like 230, 250, that divided by the total cap was 21.5% of the total cap. And so if you were to take 21.5% of the total cap of the NFL salary cap today, which is $301 million, so if he's the same quarterback as what Trevor Lawrence is, not now, after he had the contract and had a better year for half a season with the offensive head coach and Liam Cohen, if he's the same guy that Trevor Lawrence was 2 years ago, who was highly controversially debated, which is a very fair argument, that would equate to, in today's market with inflation of the cap, at 64.5 million APY. Like, so people aren't really looking at it like that. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that's what he should get, but like to me, it should be like 62 plus. And if I'm CJ Stroud and David Mulugheta, I'm not even talking until it's like 60. Like I know everyone's stuck on this 55, but like these are old numbers. They're old numbers. Like even Dak's contract, that was years ago. He has an even higher, percentage of cap. So if you want to say that he's not 21.5%, if he's 20%, that's going to be $60+ million a year. And people will freak out but like all these contracts, like what was the cornerback who just signed recently who broke the market?
Trent McDuffie.
Well, just like the other day, like the most recent one, he's now the highest paid cornerback.
The highest,
and he's not. It happened like yesterday or today, but like he's the highest paid because of the timing of the market of when he got paid because the cap's up, and he's not the best corner. I forget. I think it might have been. I forget who it was, but there was a contract that happened, and he's not the best corner. But I wasn't tripping though. Like if you divide what he's getting paid by today's salary cap, his percentage of a cap is still much lower than Derek Stingley.
Yeah. So right now on a average per year, it is Trent McDuffie, but you're speaking of Devin Witherspoon, who is rumored to get $32 to $33 million. I think
it's Ward. I'm talking about Ward with the Browns, who's good, but he's not better than Stingley or maybe Sauce or Gonzo, who's going to get a contract. But my point is like, I've learned to look at it through the proper context, through the proper lens. Like Stingley got, his extension before, but then also it's the timing of when guys get extended of like when that actually is going to go into effect. Like, Trevor Lawrence is a great comp because he got it after 3 years and he had 2 years, 50-year option, which I believe they exercised and then ripped it up. But some of these guys like go into a contract year like Baker. So that's part of it too. So like a Baker contract is not comparable to CJ for many reasons. But as far as like this horizon standpoint is because you sign him now, the first year's next year. CJ Stroud, you sign him now, the first year's in 3 years. So it's like the cap's going to go up and up and up. And then on the first year of the deal, you add void years and you just spread it out. Like that's the strategy. So, I think it'll be 62 up to 64. Obviously there's different levers you can pull as far as like length, as far as guaranteed. If I had to guess, it would probably be what makes sense to both parties to me is similar to like what you just did with Will, a 3-year, like a highly guaranteed deal. That puts money in the pocket of the player today. It's hard to turn that money down. And then also if it's a shorter time horizon, that allows them, if they do feel like they kind of got rushed into it and didn't get the APY they deserve, they can re-enter the market sooner. And like, okay, well, fine, like cash out now, and then we'll talk in 2 more years, So people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to drop this article and I'm going to get roasted, and I hope I'm right. I could be way wrong, but
folks, a president, I can't remember which president, a president once said, you're only as smart as the company you keep around you. So that's why I keep Stressans around me as much as I possibly can.
I'm just a good bullshitter.
Because see, that's the thought process that people don't think of is the, how the cap is going up. And I actually did a video a couple, maybe at this point, it's a month ago, about how the new TV deal for the NFL hits in 2029. And that cap is going to just
push it all down the road,
explode with the amount of Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu Plus, Disney Plus, Fubo, whatever TV deal, whatever streaming service. And now as an NFL viewer, it might be annoying that you're going to have 15 different accounts, and maybe you're gonna have to share with your uncle, with whoever their TV accounts to watch all these games. But because of that, the cap is going to go absolutely crazy in 2029 when it
already is, dude. It's already going up 7 to 10% as is,
And it's I believe I had a graphic in that show where it showed the past 10 years and what the salary cap was each and every single year. And 10 years ago, I think it was like maybe 140, 150 million less than what it is now. Like it was a drastic number, like below of what it is right now. So when you're talking about the money going into the future, and what people don't realize too is with CJ Stroud, he has, as we mentioned, right? Like if he got extended before the season, it's not even, this year, it's not even next year, it's 3 years plus that. So that money is pushed down the road, and then
you can restructure it and continue to water it out and then reap the benefit of the cap. going up again, like you're saying.
I'm excited to see that article from my guy Stressans because a lot of people they just like you said they just see it for face value. They're like 55, no, or 60.
I've
no
been
way.
guilty of that because but they all like media companies, they like to present like highest paid 55, like he's the highest, like it's but like so if he were to be the same comp as Trevor Lawrence, which like if it's under 64, that's lower, but like that's like top 10-ish quarterback money. If you think he's like a top 10 to 12 quarterback, that's the market. It's just the market. Like it's like me and you buying a house. Like if we bought the same house, but you bought your house 5 years ago and you paid $100,000, and now the market's up, and now I'm buying the same house and it's $300,000. I'm like, well, why am I paying more? It's because it went up.
I'm in my Stressans. I'm in my late 20s. I'm never going to own a house, so we know this. It's never going to work out like that. All right, we got a couple more buy or sells for you. This one's a controversial one, and I tweeted something out today. Maybe I'm glad it didn't gain too much traction because I don't want to come off as a hater, but buy or sell, Marlon Klein will not live up to the second round hype and where he was drafted.
I hate that I'm doing a lot. I guess I sold the other one. I guess I'm positive overall. Like, I was on the fence on the Tank Dell one, but I leaned by the health I was concerned, but I'm buying it, bro. Like, am I buying that he will be good? Is what you said?
You can however you would like to put it. Do you think Marlon Klein will live up to the hype of being selected in round 2? Because I view him as a tight end 3, tight end 4 this year. Do you think that he is going to be somebody that 2-3 years down the road we look at and we're like, oh, you know what, that was a good pick in round 2, Marlon Klein?
Yeah, so that's subjective. So I feel like a lot of people are going to have crazy expectations for year 1. But I mean, there's a lot of good, talented players that get drafted. Look at Nico Collins. Like he didn't really, emerge until 2-3 years. So I think when it's all said and done, he'll be well worth it. Like I love the upside. Like that was a very big need for me. I said that we needed a big inline blocking wide tight end with receiving upside. And that is exactly what he is. Like he was overlooked because his production was low. That doesn't mean that he isn't a good receiver. It could be system, scheme, quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. But he's 6'6", 250. He's got enough of the good blocking chops that you can continue to work on. And he's an athletic freak. Like his RAS score, like his 40, he runs like a 4.5, I believe, 4.6, for a guy that big. He's got a pretty good vertical, pretty good broad jump. He's explosive. Like you see some of these highlights of when he did, get production, like he was making plays, like hurdling guys, but even like in spring OTAs and early in training camp, you see him using his frame, going out for the ball. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know that he can come in right away and be just like lighted up, but like, Terrence Ferguson is somebody that I wanted last year out of Oregon, and the Rams got him, and he kind of had a year where he probably didn't produce a lot, but when he did get out there and played, like they looked damn good. And I think that he'll make a leap this year. So like, that's like a comp for him. He may be a better blocker than him, but yeah, I'm very high on it, dude. I mean, and then like he fits the whole character thing, team captain. The dude moved from Germany over here and like taught him, like that alone says a lot about the guy to like handle with all that stuff. So I'm excited about it, but like we can't just expect him to be like a 500-600 yard guy off the jump, but he should definitely help us.
See, the part that worried me, and going back, I told you my boss at Chat Sports, he is a massive Michigan fan, maybe one of the biggest Michigan fans that I know. He whenever he drafted, I said, all right, James, tell me why I should be excited about Marlon Klein. He goes, he was behind some of the best tight ends in the nation, Colston Loveland, Luke Schoonmaker. There was
AJ
Barner. Those were the 3 that he was behind.
Tight end factory over there, dude.
It's not like he was getting benched for scrubs. Like Colston Loveland, I think at this point probably is a top 5 tight end, if not maybe a top 3 tight end in the NFL. Maybe him, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride are kind of the new tight ends that are kind of rising up. He also said last year you had a freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood who
he was terrible.
He was not good.
He's not a throwing quarterback. In my opinion, I watched a lot of the games.
Yeah,
he was not
so
good.
Like the one chance that Marlon Klein to be like, I'm going to be the lead tight end, he didn't get that opportunity. Now, the one thing that I look at, and what I tweeted earlier today, was you had Anthony Hill Jr. on the board. And I know the Texans ended up drafting other linebackers. They ended up drafting Wade Woodaz, Aiden Fisher, who I'm a huge Aiden Fisher fan. Shout out to my wife, Indiana Hoosier alum. But Anthony Hill Jr., I was really big on him in the pre-draft process. I watched a lot of, being from Texas, obviously, we watched a lot of University of Texas football. And I thought he was an awesome player. And it does hurt that he was taken one pick afterwards with the Tennessee Titans. All things considered, with the two injuries that the Texans have had, EJ Speed, Jake Hansen, do you think maybe a small part, a little bit of them look back and go, dang, I wish maybe we would have taken Anthony Hill Jr. and gotten another tight end, because there were some other good tight ends that went after him. Sam Roush has been getting a lot of love with the Chicago Bears. There was a couple.
I was high on Sam Roush, but Sam Roush is smaller and has shorter arms. So Marlon Klein is a better physical specimen, but Sam Roush is a stud.
Yeah,
but yeah. So there was a run on tight ends. I was very high on Nate Burkhardt. I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and I was like, this guy. He fit the prototype, the 6'6", 250 inline blocking tight end with receiving upside, and his receiving upside was very good at the Senior Bowl. So people freaked out. And he got taken first. Nate Burkhardt started the run, and so everyone that kind of started the run, and people were freaking out. I was like, I think that's kind of a good pick. These consensus boards, people don't know. We all watch it and we freak out. Well, this said here and they got here. It could come back to bite the Jags, but. As far as Anthony Hill Jr., I was not high on him, especially relative to ADP. So when I was watching linebackers for D'Amico Ryan's defense, the 4-2-5, we need guys with quick triggers and instincts because, they're basically forced to clean stuff up. If they're kind of hesitate, he didn't seem really quick, an explosive, honestly. But you cannot be the most explosive, but you can be instinctual and know when to go and make up for it. It looked like a slow trigger for me. He's still a good player.
Yeah.
And to me, he wasn't a fit from positional need because he is a prototypical thumper Mike linebacker. He's probably better in a 4-3 where he's just a big guy in the middle just hitting you. So I didn't think he was a fit. I thought he was, definitely not for us. We didn't need a Mike linebacker. So if you're drafting him, then that means he's going to play behind Azeez Al-Shaiir and be the heir apparent to Azeez Al-Shaiir. So now you could say, okay, be nice to have him as potential depth at the Mike linebacker in case Azeez gets hurt. The guy definitely can't play will linebacker where the potential need is now if Henry were to go down. Mm-hmm. He's not nearly quick enough for that. So I personally, and you could also say too, I know everyone liked him, the UT ties, but if the Texans wanted him and D'Amico, the linebacker guru, wanted him, he probably would have got him, So,
that's a good point. And maybe I am a victim a little bit of that as well. People around, the nation, not in Houston, not in Texas, might not realize that Lance Zierlein is a local guy. He's, based in Houston. And I was listening to him before the draft, and he was talking about Anthony Hill in round 1 for the Texans. And I thought that was a little high. I thought that was a little crazy. But whenever, Lance Zierlein says something, I take a little bit more, I take a little harder to listen to it. Whenever he said, watch out for Anthony Hill round 1, I'm hearing possibly the Texans. And then he falls to round 2 and the Texans are right there. I'm licking my chops. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I will say, as you mentioned, if D'Amico passed on him, okay, D'Amico, if anybody knows what linebackers will fit with this team, it's D'Amico Ryans, and I'll trust him on that.
At least relative, maybe they would have liked him around later or something, but
Yeah. All right, we have just a couple more buy or sells. This one hits my heart as a former offensive lineman. Buy or sell, Keelan Rutledge moving to center is no big deal.
No big deal. I'll sell it. It is a big deal. He did play some snaps. I don't know if he played in the games, but I know Brent Key was the head coach at Georgia Tech, and he's a great former offensive lineman, great, offensive line coach, head coach. So knows a position. He knew that Keelan would need to play center, so he took reps at it, at least in practice. Mm-hmm. I believe he told Aaron Wilson in an exclusive interview that he sees him as an all-pro center in the NFL. So I think he'll do great. But it's going to be anything like that. It's going to be an adjustment. When I spoke with Wyatt Teller, he even said, he was candid about it, and he's been candid in multiple other interviews about him going from right guard to left guard, how, that's going to be a challenge. But what he did tell me, though, which was kind of like a silver lining for Wyatt from going right guard to left guard, was that he was learning all new techniques anyways. So he was going to be starting from scratch anyhow. So he might as well have just played a new position. So it's not as bad. Now, I don't know if that really applies with Calen. If it is new techniques for him, maybe it is, but you're also playing center. But yeah, there'll be some struggles, but I'm also like, it is a big deal, or not it is a thing, but I'm confident in it. Like, there may be some struggles early on because of the type of guy he is. Like, if you listen to this guy and learn about him, like, he eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Like, he's obsessed with it. So like, he's going to be working at it all the time. Like, he will, he's not going to be someone who kind of just whatever, and like his mindset, his mentality. So from that regard, I'm not worried. But I mean, it definitely is going to be something that could give us a couple potential issues early on, which is fine. I mean, look at Jake Andrews. He had issues in the, I know we don't know who the exact snaps were on in that Pittsburgh game, but you have to say at least some of that might have been on Andrews, and he was essentially a rookie center last year. So it's like, you might as well put the first round pick in there.
Yeah. And everybody's, me included, are somewhat worried about the snaps, but it was funny whenever he was interviewed after practice, second day of training camp practice today. And they asked him, they're like, okay, well, what is the biggest adjustment? And I thought he was going to say snapping the ball. I thought he was going to say something around snapping, the fact that, now he has his hand on a ball, not the hand in the dirt. But he said the biggest adjustment for him is calling out protections, which, as a former offensive lineman, people don't realize how much the center position does in terms of setting up the other blocks along the offensive line, and really how cohesive a unit it is. Like, the center says, okay, a lot of the times, like, you're like, okay, are you going to double team with the right guard, or are you going to take him on and let the right guard double team with the right tackle? And they have different calls for that. They have different, ways that they can communicate that along the offensive line. And a lot of teams, most teams, it starts with the center spot. And that's what Calen said today after practice. He said, my biggest adjustment is going to be calling out protections and calling out, where other guys are going to be along the offensive line. And as a rookie, that's a big, weight on his shoulders of, getting everybody in the right spot and making sure everybody has everything picked up. Because, you watch just as much Texans football as I do. Over the past couple of years, this Texans team has been below average, I would say, in picking up stunts, and
which is communication, right? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And again, going back to the Wyatt Teller interview, is like, when I talked to him, he kind of went through, like, at one point in time, like, the process. He's like, I walk up, I'm kind of seeing what I think it is, and I'm waiting to hear it from the center, and then I can confirm it. But like, so I'm just thinking now, but like, having Ed Ingram and now Wyatt Teller next to you, that can hopefully help, ease that a little bit. So that was an interview today. I didn't know he got an interview today. It was like on the side, or?
Yeah, it was on the side. It was from I feel bad that I can't remember.
I'm slacking, dude. I listened to all. I'll find it up. But now that I know,
I think it was from Ortiz.
But that's good to hear, though. So like, that's a good point you brought up. Like, so that means like the snapping is whatever. Like, the snapping, I think a lot of us just assume that like it's impossible to figure out how to snap a ball. I mean, you got a pretty good, window to hit there, especially under center.
Luis Ortiz.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that out. That's great to hear. But that's a good point there. Great insight on that one.
And I'm excited for him. It's funny because we did a Chat Sports mock draft where we did the first 2 rounds of the draft. In my mock draft, and it was every single host got to pick for their team. I picked in round 1 Caden McDonald, in round 2 Keelan Rutledge. And they flipped, which it's so funny because it's like, and everybody, when it originally, after it happened, everybody was like, what a reach for Rutledge, what a steal for McDonald. And it's like, okay, like,
and it's all relative to these imaginary boards.
Like, you're still getting two of the same players, this, that, or the other. But I'm excited to see what Rutledge can do. And like I said, make sure you give us both follows. Make sure you hit that sub button, like the video. Make sure to follow us both on X, on IG, because my guy Stressans, he talked to Wyatt Teller. So if you want to see that entire interview, see what Wyatt Teller had to say, one of the brand new Texans, one of the big additions along the offensive line, this guy has it right here on his channel. So go down, make sure to hit that sub button for both of our channels. Make sure to go like all the videos and help us out. All right. We got a couple more buy or sells for you. Buying or selling the Texans next offseason, we'll have to choose between Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley.
I'm selling that. I mean, first off, for me, it's just too early to even entertain it. Mm-hmm. A lot of things can change. Like, other players don't get re-signed, injuries, performance. Like, I get, like, you start thinking about it, but like, that was one of those off-season topics where it's like there's not much going on, and like it kind of sucks too. It's like, just enjoy the moment. Like, why do we have to start like thinking about future us problems that are like, it's like, just enjoy it. Like, every time this would come up, like, oh well, we can't pay them. Like, it was like, why are we doing this? And like, you know what? Yes, we can pay both. Like, but will that happen? I don't know. I mean, yeah, Nick Cassero is a salary cap wizard. Again, like we talked about, him being ahead and early on this stuff allows him to do things like that. And you mentioned the whole broadcast deal down the road, and all these deals, you do them early, you get them out, you spread them out, you restructure. So it's definitely doable. I guess we'll see. I mean, but another part of that too is like, you drafted guys like Kamari, Ramsey, Jalen Smith. Like, if other guys start to ball out, like, this conversation could easily change where like the fans are like, oh yeah, we got so-and-so. We don't like, so like, that's why I'm not entertaining it. So yeah, I'm selling that.
And the only reason I ask is because now I actually did this before Denzel Ward got his new deal. So that does change Denzel Ward now, technically the highest paid on a per year basis after he got his extension.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is Denzel Ward the best cornerback in the league?
No, he is not.
And he's the highest paid, right?
Yeah.
It's because of the timing of when he signed the deal. Like, his percent of cap is lower, but people's minds are like, oh, what idiots, you paid him. Like, that's my whole point with the contracts. Like,
but I will say two of the guys, and I was getting into it with our Seahawks host because two of the players that are up for deals next, and they're both sort of holding in right now. Devin Witherspoon with the Seattle Seahawks, Christian Gonzalez with the New England Patriots. And if you haven't heard this story, it's actually quite interesting. They both have the same agent, and Christian Gonzalez is basically waiting on Devin Witherspoon to basically do what Sauce Gardner did with Derek Stingley. They have the same agent.
Yeah, just give me +1.
Oh, yeah. Christian Gonzalez said, yep, I'm just going to go ahead and wait for Devin Witherspoon, and whatever he gets, I want $1 million more than that on a per year. But whenever I'm looking at the stats, and I don't want to be a stat merchant, I don't want to be a guy who's box score hunting, but I'm going to do it here for just a moment. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Kamari might be better than Devin Witherspoon. Like, when you look at their stats, and I was messing with our Seahawks guy, and obviously he's kind of on his high horse because they just won the Super Bowl. And I'm like, man, I think Kamari's better than Devin Witherspoon, because he was like, well, Devin Witherspoon, what he does is, what he does in the run game, and his ability to be a tough-nosed tackler. And I'm like,
do you know who Kamari Lassiter is?
That's probably what Kamari Lassiter does the best.
Corner in the entire league.
And you look at their stats from this past season, like Kamari, 17 PBUs, 4 interceptions, a completion percentage allowed of 57.7, and a QB rating allowed of 79.8 when targeted. And I mean, every statistic that I saw, and like I said, I don't want to be just the box score warrior. I don't want to be the guy who's just looking at that, but every single statistic I looked at, Kamari was better than Devin Witherspoon. And
yeah,
I hate to be that guy, but
no, I agree. And then, like, you could also add in the fact that, like, him having Derek Stingley, some could look at that as like helping him, but that should hurt him, because you now have 2-time All-Pro corner on this side. They're going to attack you constantly over and over again, and he's battle tested. Whereas Witherspoon has Josh Jobe or whoever else is on the other side, and so he's not really getting that same kind of, he's not getting they're avoiding him and going at the lesser guy. Kamari is getting targeted. I mean, but he's done so well to where people are like, okay, sometimes we'll go after Stingley. So yeah, I agree. Kamari is very underrated, man.
All right. So we have one more buy or sell for you. And this one, I wanted to end it on more of a fun one. Buying or selling, Will Anderson will have 20 plus sacks this season.
Man, what did he have last year? It was like 14, 12.
He had 12 sacks last season.
So 8, 9 more sacks. I mean, in a weird way, this is dependent on the offense. Like, the offense needs to give us leads to allow us to have the opportunity to be a known passing downs and pin our ears back and rush the passer. And with that being said, I will buy it, because I do think the offense will improve, and they don't have to improve a ton. We just have to have games where we have 10 to 14 point leads, and that changes the entire dynamics of the game. And honestly too, like, Will Anderson Jr. is like every year he gets like exponentially better. Like I
Mhm.
guess what came to mind is I just thought of this before we had this show. Seth Payne, shout out Seth Payne, had a video on Twitter of a practice rep against some dummies of Will Anderson Jr. I had saw it earlier in the day real quick, reposted it, and somehow it came back up. And this time I watched it, and I watched the move that he did. One, he came off the ball super fast, but he did a Danielle Hunter move. He did a Hezi Euro step. So he stepped with his left leg, his right leg kind of dangled in the air, and then went like one of those unorthodox, like crazy, weird Danielle Hunter moves. And
Mhm.
I was like, this is freaking insane. I was like, this guy, year over year, he's kind of been adding to his bag, and now he's doing stuff like that. I'm like, dude. So from that and from the offense giving him more opportunities to do that, I'll go with the buy.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you here. And the reason why I'm going to go sell on this, and it's not because I said it last year.
That's a lot.
Roll back the tape. Everybody go watch my videos from a year ago. I said Will Anderson Jr. is the best player on this team. And this was before, he had 12 sacks this past year and got the $50 million. I said he will be the number one player on this team. He is the best player on this team, bar none. Like, I think he is the most talented. I think he has the right work. Like, he reminds me so much of JJ Watt with how he is just walking around the facility, how he's
got an arm brace on, and like he knows what he's doing.
He is he gives me that first one in, last one out mentality. Even though he's the best player on the team, like, he is still doing things to get better. He is not satisfied ever. And that is like JJ Watt coded at best, of like, he'll have a 3-sack game and be like, should have had 4. Like, that gives me, like, that is so Will Anderson. But the only reason I'm selling is because of the guy that you mentioned on the other side. So many times last year, it was Will Anderson would have gotten a sack, but Danielle Hunter got there first.
That's hilarious. That's a great point.
So many times it is
or they just get like a half a sack and they just smush him. Like,
it's not like if they're gonna get a sack, it's who's going to get the sack. Like, is it Danielle or is it Will Anderson? And, it obviously helps the Texans defense because there's 2 guys that are just absolutely, like, Josh Allen, I think, has the, Kevin Durant nightmare from the Gatorade commercial where he just wakes up and he sees Danielle and he sees Will Anderson. Cause for an MVP guy, I don't think anybody's made him look more human than this Texans defense and this Texans defensive line. But so many times last year, whenever I was watching games, I saw Danielle Hunter get a sack and Will Anderson was like a half step behind getting it. And maybe, like you said, the Texans get more leads and that, offers them more ability to get sacks for both of them. But I see both of them getting I see them both getting 15, 16 sacks next year.
Mm-hmm.
And if Will Anderson was on a team where he had some other, decent pass rushers, but he was the main guy, like whenever I look at Myles Garrett, like nothing, Myles Garrett is,
he's the only pass rusher, right? I mean, like only threat,
This isn't like a slide at Myles Garrett because I know that Myles Garrett is the best pass rusher right now, and Will Anderson.
And they probably also like scheme him up specifically. They give him room to like our guys just stay on one side and that's it. Like, they might move Will Anderson Jr. around more and like put him at spinner over the middle a little bit more, but like for the most part, it's like, hey, left end, right end. Whereas Myles Garrett's probably getting to move all over,
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, it's not a bad thing, but I don't think this defense will allow him to get 20 sacks just because of how good Danielle is on the other side. And then, I mean, you look at the other additions on the defensive line, like you have Sheldon Rankins coming back. I think he's an underrated pass rusher from the 3-tech. Like, I think he's a really good, defensive tackle that can get after the quarterback. You also have Logan Hall, who they added and has been a more low-key, addition to the defensive line. But I think in this style of defense, he gives me Danico Autry vibes to a T. Like, I think they're going to move him inside out.
Same exact guy, dude.
And he's going to flourish in a defense where last year he really didn't, get as many opportunities. They didn't really use him correctly, in my opinion, to where in this Houston Texans defense, he'll kind of get the shackles taken off a little bit. He'll get a little bit more free run. And the fact that he's coming in and fresh legs, the tackle's been going up against Will Anderson the whole time, and he's getting kind of a beat down tackle that he can then go after that. I think Will Anderson obviously is a fantastic player, and maybe one day gets to that 20 sack number. I don't know if it happens this season though.
Well, that's a lot in your point too. I was going to say, like, normally, like the high volume sack guys are just a one man show. Like, we
Mhm.
got a bunch of horses in the stable. So, like, a better question maybe like a total between the two, which that's a good
Mhm.
tough one. Like someone said 35. I mean, I don't know if I think what you said, like, it could be like 15 and 15 a piece. I think around low 30s is probably a good over under on the total between the two.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. All right. Well, that's all we have for today's edition of Buy or Sell. I really do, once again, appreciate you, Stressans, for hopping on the show. If you didn't catch our live show, that's also on our channels as well. If you want to go back and look at all of our shenanigans and all the stuff we talked about during the live show. But before we end this cut on the live show, Stressans, can you let them know what you have coming up? Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, first off, shout out to everyone in the chat. I see a lot of familiar names in there, some new ones. Enjoy the interaction. We're all fans in this together, so it's great to be in this together. I think it will be a special season. But yeah, I'm either at Texans Commenter or Houston Stressins on pretty much all social media: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I have a website, HoustonStressins.com, where you can get merch. I'm wearing one of my shirts, Houston versus everybody. I just dropped 3 new ones today: a Jalen Pitre hitting Rashee Rice one, a Brian Cushing bloody face one, a JJ Watt bloody face one. I have the Andre Johnson beating up Cortland Finnegan one. But yeah, I'm working on an article on the CJ Stroud with a lot of the stuff that we talked about, with more like super in depth. I need to get it done just in case it happens, and I just wasted my time doing it. So be on the lookout for that. You can go to the website, and there's like a free subscribe to newsletter deal. But I want to say thanks to you. Like, I mean, this has been great, dude. Like, it was nice to meet you in person at the Kamari Lassiter softball event, and got a lot of respect for you and what you do. But most importantly, like, you seem and are like a genuine good dude. So I appreciate your friendship.
Much. I appreciate you too, Stressins. And like I said, go help us out. Go hit that sub button. Go make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, because I continue to say this. Texans fans are so lucky, they should be blessed for the amount of content creators, the amount of good beat reporters we have. Like I need to have a list in front of me so I can name everybody and make sure I have. But I mean, you have Ruben, you have the guys from the Houston Chronicle. I know
I have a directory on my website. If you go to my website, I got a list of like everybody and all their stuff.
There you go. Make sure to go to Stresson's website to go check everybody out. I know DJ Bienemy does a great job with ESPN. There's
Jonathan
a bunch of
Alexander,
guys.
Aaron Wilson,
Yeah,
John Hickman, Locked On Texans. Yeah, it's insane, dude.
And like I said, I appreciate you for hopping on. And Texans football is back. We got the full first padded practice next week, and I'm excited. Maybe we do this a couple more times during the season. Maybe we make this maybe something that we do a little bit more often. But we'll see.
I'm down. You tell me, man.
For it being so late, I feel like we have.
I think we're a good duo. Like it's just good vibes, a good back and forth. We each provide a little good insight here and there. So
you're the brains. I'm the comic relief.
No.
All right.
Far from it.
I do believe we had a super chat. If I can go back up, my guy, Lord Buddy Bear. He's on our Raiders channel. That's actually one of our biggest channels at Chat Sports. He said, "What's up, Chugs? Raiders." Appreciate you, Lord Buddy Bear, with the super chat there. We are about to head out of here, but I will open the floor. If anybody's on YouTube, if anybody wants to send in a super chat, if anybody has a pressing question that they want to ask me or Stressins, do you have maybe like 10 more minutes, maybe 10, 15 more minutes just to, answer some questions? If anybody has any more pressing questions, if anybody wants to ask us anything, or I feel like we covered a lot on today's live show, but if we missed anything, if y'all want to ask us anything, go ahead, go down in the comment section and let us know. If you have any questions, did I miss anything? Oh, we got Yoda Jenkins in the chat as well.
No, but I did have a thought earlier I wanted to mention when we were talking about Keelan Rutledge on Harris hits from day one, or maybe it was today. He had noted that Keelan Rutledge had put Azeez Al-Shaiir on his backside 20 yards down the field on a run play. So that was great to see. Yeah.
You know what? I did see. I actually saw that from
Big
Sarge. Yeah, I saw Sarge tweet that, and I did like the fact that a lot of times, like, you see after that happens, there will be a scuffle. There will be like, oh my, like, I can't believe you did that. And from what I heard from, his tweet, and I think I can't remember who else tweeted it out, that Azeez kind of liked it. He was like,
yes, he's like,
"Let's
finally
freaking
some freaking
go."
fire. Yeah, that's exactly. So like, I had the same thought process, like, oh, that should be a fight, but Azeez is probably like welcoming this. He's been like, where has this been?
Yeah.
And when he talked about this earlier in the spring, he said these new linemen are like gnats, like especially Calen, like they're always on you. He's like, they just won't get off you. And he's like, that's how linemen should be. Whereas before they would just kind of do the bare minimum. Like, I did my job. Like these guys are like, I'm starting to get some irrational thoughts about this Texans offensive line. I believe it was a interview. I think it was Stroud and Evan Washburn where he talked about him. Maybe it was D'Amico, but I was just hearing some stuff and then like reading stuff like that. I'm like, bro, like if these guys, I mean, like Wyatt Taylor's got that mentality, whether he's fully healthy or not. He told me he's in the best shape of his life. He said that in 2020, he had like a certain percent of like lean body mass added because all he could do is work out, and that he has even more this offseason. He's remotivated. He's reinvigorated. Braden Smith is a freaking unit, bro. Have you seen that guy?
Oh, dude, he's just the round bound of like, just like, and I know people are like, and I think you actually tweeted this out, Stressans, of that. The fact that maybe, he does for a tackle in the NFL have somewhat shorter arms, and he definitely leans more of a mauler run blocker than a traditional pass rusher. Does that kind of force the Texans to run? Like, did D'Amico and Nick Caserio do that to be like, you know what? Like, we're going to get a run blocking right tackle to make sure you have to run the ball?
Maybe, but like, when I was like scouting like linemen, like you can see like, gap versus zone schemes, like zone they're kind of more tentative and like back and catching, whereas like the gap guys are the downhill guys. But then it's also like this is kind of how some people play, and like the guys like Keelan Rutledge, like Wyatt Teller, like Fabechi Wiwu, like when you cut the tape on, like you see that like, okay, this is the type of guy. And my logic is yes, if you're more aggressive and downhill, you may overexert and it may not be the best on pass blocking, but like if you're a run first team and you're running and running and running and doing that, and now the DNs or D linemen kind of get tired and they start to give back, the play action off of that's going to be marvelous. So like, and I've been saying too, like people are concerned, rightfully so, about pass protection because Ed Ingram, struggled last year. Wyatt Teller struggled last year. We don't know what the rookie or Jake Andrews, but regardless, I think if you get the run game first, that should help the pass blocking. We had no run game last year, so we're in constant third and longs and no predictable passing downs. But if you can, one, run the ball a lot and wear them out, that tires them. Two, you have a lot more short and manageable downs that are ambiguous where they don't know whether it's run or pass. So now when you do pass, they're not just pinning their ears back. So
yeah. And in CJ Stroud's rookie year, he was really good in terms of play action and throwing off of play action. You can't throw play action passes if you don't have a run game. So the fact that you have
they don't respect it, right? They just sit back like, okay, run. Okay, we'll talk to you still.
I think it was against the Patriots in like the third or fourth quarter, and it was such a thing where it's like the play really didn't matter, and it was like a second down, and I probably can't even point to like the exact drive it happened, but it was 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 10, and CJ does like a fake play action, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like,
just you wasting time.
they're not biting. Like we have 9 yards of rushing. Like you don't need to. Like I get it's probably and you know this probably better as somebody who played at the collegiate level. It's probably put into like some of the plays and some of the different formations of like on this play we're gonna fake the run and then like look to pass it. But I was like, the defense isn't biting. We don't need this. We do have a couple questions that I see. If you want to get your question up to the very top and make sure if we have more super chats, we'll stay live a little bit longer. We'll make sure to answer all the questions. If you want to get jump the line, you can go ahead, send in a super chat. But we do have a couple questions that I see in here. This one from GF&G. What tight end do you think they're cutting, Stover or Jordan? This is a good question. And how many tight ends do you think they keep on the roster, my guy Stressans?
It's tough. I've been like basically 100%. Stover's chopping block. He's the odd man out. You kind of hear he's doing fullback, but I feel like I heard some kind of argument or like becoming more open minded to where um, maybe Brevin Jordan gets cut. It depends on his health. So they're both not like the 6'6", 250 wide tight ends that I like. Brevin Jordan is more of like the move tight end. He has more juice, so he can add some dynamic to that, but he's not a great blocker. Stover has better blocking chops, albeit he kind of struggled last year, but it's better than Brevin Jordan's, but he's a tweener. I mean, what if they both could they both? I mean, we're going to keep, I think, 4.
Yeah.
So obviously you have Schultz.
I have Foster Moreau as the tight end too right now. Like they have been hyping him up so much.
Yeah.
I like Foster Moreau. Before I actually took over as a host at Chat Sports, I was the producer for multiple channels, and one of the channels I produced for was the Raiders channel. And I thought he was a good tight end with the Raiders. Like I thought he was, going to be a really good tight end for them. Obviously injuries, and then he, I believe, got diagnosed with like cancer, leukemia. So that kind of took away from his career a little bit. But I think he's a really good tight end, and I think he came in with the right mindset. And D'Amico Ryans really likes him. I have him as the tight end too. They're not going to cut Marlon Klein, so that's 3 right there. Past that, do they keep 4? And if they do, is it Stover or Jordan? I'm a Brevin Jordan guy. Like I have a soft spot. I've had him, and maybe I don't make him this year a breakout candidate, because I've had him a breakout candidate in my videos the past 2 years as like, these are the top 3 breakout candidates for the Texans that can jump onto the scene that nobody knows. And both years he's injured himself, and maybe I do a little reverse jinx and have him as somebody who's going to get cut because I really want him to make the team. Like I don't know. I'm a Brevin Jordan guy, but I also I want to build this team kind of like Madden and have some really good pass catchers and have some more juice on the outside and have guys who can bust the seam for a 40-yard gain and be able to catch balls like that. And I think that more aligns with what Brevin Jordan can do.
Like the Cleveland Browns playoff game. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think I agree with the sentiment on Foster Moreau, and that's a good thing. Like that way you can allow Marlon Klein time to acclimate, because I believe Dalton Schultz was asked about him in the spring, and he said he's doing good. And he said playing tight end in this offense is tough and complicated. Like there's a lot to know and do. So there is going to be a learning curve. Now you have Foster Moreau, who is a veteran and knows all that stuff. And he's also a leader. He's reliable. He's a great blocker. He's mean. He's nasty. And he has some receiving upside. And yeah, you're not going to cut Marlon Klein. So then it would be for the 4th tight end, it would probably logically be between Brevin Jordan and Cade Stover. And I would give it to Brevin Jordan because that adds some variety to it. And you've heard reports about like how much shape he's in, how good he's doing. And maybe he's improved as a blocker. So.
And I think oh, okay, no. I saw something with Jadeveon Clowney. It just says mutual interest between the Texans and Clowney. I was like, do we get breaking news here? Like, I don't know.
I want to be the one to break it. We'll see. I'm trying to get a.
You gotta text him and be like, bro, if you're signing with the Texans, just give me like one of these emojis, like in a text or something. Like
the thing is, he's like so chill and like laid back. Like you don't give it. He's like, all right, yeah, like whatever,
Yeah.
So there's different avenues I have within that circle to try and urge, like, hey, let me do it, So it's been said that like regardless, hopefully I can break the news, which would be dope. It's like, hey, I got a platform, like I don't want to be in the breaking news game, but this would be cool.
That's why you got to follow Stressans. You maybe you get the Jadeveon Clowney news, and maybe we get him coming back to the Texans. Does anybody wear 90 right now? I'm trying to think. Is that Sheldon Rankins who wears 90? Because I know that was his number with the Texans whenever he got drafted.
I don't know. It might be. Let's see if I can look it up.
Would love for him to rock number 90 again. Let me see. Was there any more questions that we had? Brandon said when is the first day in pads? I believe it's on Monday.
90 is Logan Hall.
Logan Hall, you might have to give that up, buddy.
Sheldon Rankin is 98. Yeah, right.
You might have to give that up, buddy. If we I mean, just for the love of the game, we got to give Jadeveon 90 if he comes back. But I believe it is going to be August 3rd, which is next Monday, is the first day in pads. I think someone in the chat said it. Yeah,
August 3rd is what Joseph Rivera said.
We do have a super chat that came in from OMO the Koi. If Aaron Donald comes out of retirement, should JJ come out too? And maybe add Jadeveon Clowney. See, I fell into the trap last offseason of JJ. Come on, man. Like it towards the end of the year last year, I was and he was teasing me too. JJ, if you're watching this, probably not, but if you are watching this, shame on you for doing that to me last season, because he was talking on, Good Morning, NFL, Good Morning Football, like whatever site he was on, and he was like, I'm in shape. Like I could play if I wanted to. Like he was the biggest tease last year. Like
he did it ever since he retired. He did it like once a week, but people would prod him. So I mean,
I get that too, and he's not going to. That's the competitor in him probably being like, oh yeah, I mean, of course I could go back out there. But I think he has too much going up for himself off the field to come back. In my personal opinion. Like I still think he's in good enough shape to possibly be a Aaron Donald, like he's going to be with the Rams as like a situational pass rusher and just like a, really good player and veteran mentor. But he's got so much going off the field. I don't think he will.
Yeah, and he retired, for his health and his kids, and he's a family man. And I just looked it up too. He's 37. Aaron Donald's 35, so he's 2 years older. I don't know how long Aaron Donald's been out of the game, if they've both been out at the same time or not. But yeah, I think the ship has sailed on that. I kind of had hope after the first year, and then the second year maybe, but now I think he's been retired for his third, going on fourth year. I think that ship has sailed.
And like you said, the one thing that's different with him than Aaron Donald is the back injury. And if you're I'm turning 30 this year. I already, a year and a half ago, I was playing basketball and not bad, but I hurt the middle of my back, and I was like, oh my God. And, that was just me playing rec league basketball, doing whatever. And I couldn't imagine what JJ Watt's going through. And once you get into your late 30s, 40s, you're thinking of, your life moving forward and your, comfortability in life. And he's probably like, you know what? All things considered, I got out of one of the most dangerous games possible with some scars, with some, bruises, some batters and stuff like that. But, probably to a point where he's somewhat comfortable. Like he probably feels it a little bit from time to time. But also, he is a part owner of a soccer team. I believe it's Burnley over there in England. His wife is doing a ton of stuff with, her she has a lot of stuff on her own that she does, right? Like she's a former, player of the Houston Dash in her own right, former U.S. soccer player. And I did kind of like, big brownie points for like husband brownie points for him, kind of bodying that soccer team that said, JJ Watt and wife. And
I saw that.
Obviously she has a lot of accolades as a great athlete in her own right as well. So, I know, he probably wants to be able to spend more time with her, spend more time with his family. And he also has a great gig calling games. So I don't think JJ comes out of retirement now.
Well, and I think the impetus too of why he retired was some kind of heart condition, right? So he had like a scare, and he's like, that's like what made him realize I could get hurt or pass away and I have kids. Like it was some kind of thing like that, right?
I can't remember. See, because whenever he retired, he was with the Cardinals. Let me try to look it up.
I feel like he had like some kind of heart something, and like if he played, this could have happened. And I think it just freaked him out. And he's like,
yeah, he had AFib. His heart shot. Experienced a serious heart scare in October 2022 when he suffered an episode of AFib. Had his heart shocked back into rhythm and remarkably played a game just days later. So he played afterwards, but definitely something like that.
I think he felt guilty after that. He's like, dude, what am I doing? I mean, you can't really knock a guy for that. Yeah, his heart literally stopped. That's whether that's football induced or not, but your brain is associating it to football, and you're like, nope.
Yeah. My question to you for that is, does JJ get a statue?
Oh yeah, dude. He gets the key to the city, everything. I mean, he's a legend, bro. Like
it has to, but like you think of other teams and their, stadiums and, the Eagles have Nick Foles and Doug Peterson outside of their
Philly special
link, right? So do we this is hilarious.
Brandon.
Right. Statue outside of HEB? Yes. Every HEB in Houston should have a JJ Watt statue outside of it. And Just Harry argue a good argument here. Andre got to get one first.
I can't argue with that. Timing wise, he's the elder and he's also a great. Yep.
And somebody said if the Texans end up winning the Super Bowl, knock on wood, right, like this year, next year, does D'Amico deserve the first statue? Does he deserve the biggest praise of all time for Texans players, of being one of the best Texans players and the Texans coach to take him there?
Yes, but you wouldn't want to do it until they're away from the team, right? I mean, it's kind of weird to have a statue of like a current head coach.
They had Doug Peterson and Nick Foles for the Eagles. I mean,
but was that after they left though?
I don't think so, because
they fired him and like, oh, we'll put a statue up for you.
They did it right. I think it was before they fired him. I think.
I mean, I guess if it's like, and I don't know if that statue is like commemorating the moment of like winning the Super Bowl, or if it's like honoring the player. If it's like commemorating a moment, if it's like the moment of like if it's something like that, then yes. But and I know he would be worthy of it. I was just saying it'd be weird to like commemorate someone who's like still actively.
Yeah, I get that.
That's like putting somebody in the Hall of Fame when they're still playing, I guess, is like what I'm trying to say. But
that's good.
He would be worthy though. I mean, that's for sure.
We have time for maybe like one or two more questions. Obviously, like I said, if anybody super chats, we'll try to get those in before we hop out of live. I thought I saw another good question. Oh, from Rye Draper. What are we going to do with linebackers? Y'all satisfied with our depth behind Azeez and Henry? I think we touched that a little bit on the show today, but I think, with what they have right now, they added a bunch of guys in the offseason. They drafted 2 guys, Wade Woodaz, Aiden Fisher. They also, traded for Marte Mapu. And you mentioned, the difference between the will linebacker and having the Mike linebacker in this 4-2-5 scheme. Maybe the guy behind Azeez Al-Shaiir is, I don't know who would be that next guy. They'd move.
Well, if Azeez were to get hurt, it'd be Henry, and then now you would figure out the will. Because that's a pretty important place, because you need to be. You're the one in the green dot. You're calling it. And Henry has done well when he's played Mike a handful of times. Like obviously Azeez had the suspension and some injuries. He's done surprisingly pretty good at Mike.
Yeah. I'm okay with it for right now. I want to see how they do during camp, but I wouldn't hit the panic button if I were the Texans on trying to sign somebody immediately. I know I talked about, Bobby Wagner before earlier in the live show, but I don't think it's necessary right now to go ahead and make a panic move like that. I think you kind of agree similarly to that, Stressans.
Yeah, I think they probably just to get a body in there, just get some random person that's not like some big name. I think that's a back end depth guy that may or may not get cut is, I think, the move.
Yeah. And then we'll end on this unless we get a super chat. Senior Larry says rival jerseys. Any leaks? I have seen a couple of leaks, and I'll say I'm pleasantly surprised because I am a sucker for monochromatic looks and the whiteout. Like my favorite jersey. I said this, and it was an unpopular opinion. Maybe still is an unpopular opinion. But last year, my favorite jersey combination was actually when the Texans went all navy blue. When it was the deep steel helmet, jersey, pants, sock, like everything was blue. Like I thought that look is so fresh. I love monochromatic. And the leak that I saw, I don't know if you saw anything as well, Stressans, but I've seen that it apparently maybe not, maybe is white jersey with some sort of Oiler blue colors with maybe changing it up so it doesn't look as much like the Tennessee Titans version of it, maybe like with the shades of the deep steel blue or the shades of the red in there as well. But that's what I've seen and maybe they go a white helmet as well.
Yeah. I mean, the white helmet, like it's sitting there, like they have to do. I know you can only have 3 helmets And so, but like they can,
I, I think there might be the loophole with the rivalry jerseys though.
if there is, then great.
I
Then
think
it's an absolute no
yeah.
brainer. But right now they basically have two essentially blue helmets, right? Like the H-Town blue is like a darker with sparkles, and then you have
Mhm.
your normal blue, and then you have the red. So
Yeah.
like if you can't, then just change one of those to the white and then modify the other. But I mean, I think from what I've kind of feel in here and haven't seen anything officially, but kind of like heard people say stuff, I think it is white. And I think it is the H-Town blue. I think the theme is like the old Houston addresses, the tile, which is the
Mhm.
white background and the baby blue or H-Town blue little tiles. And that's a dope look, dude. If you got that with baby blue and a white helmet, like you got to get the white helmet, dude. Like, because this can
Yes.
be sick, and then you throw in the wrong helmet, it could throw it all off.
Yeah, I agree. The white helmet and like I said, I'm a sucker for monochromatic. Like I like the battle reds. I don't know if I love the battle red helmet with the it looks cool, but like I don't know if it's my favorite with the horn on it. Like it's cool. I prefer the all deep steel blue look more than that. It's just just personal preference. I don't know what you
Yeah.
do. You have a favorite jersey?
Monochromatic for me, it depends on which color and style, but I would take the all red over the all blue.
Mhm.
I think the battle reds are pretty freaking sick, dude.
Yeah.
Especially like Sunday night football. I'm thinking like the Bears game or whatever, and that defense is just yeah. And that helmet too, like the glare on it's pretty sick. But yeah, favorite ones is probably the battle red. The H Town blue are pretty nice too. So um, yeah, I would say Battle Red's probably my favorite. Yeah, the Battle Red scares teams. And then someone said in the chat too, Naquan Jones is also underrated. He is very underrated. I agree. So is Tommy Togiai. To me, Tommy Togiai is the most underrated. I'm starting to like you ever just like talk a lot and you like start to say something and just like you make like a profound statement and like I've been saying this, like I've said it to Tommy. I was like, I think you're the most underrated defensive player in the entire NFL. And like
It,
I think it's plausible.
part of me part of me does worry that he's going to play himself out of the Texans. Like he's going to be so good this season to where the Texans, with all the contracts, everything that they have to pay next year, they're just going to be like, we can't pay Tommy Togiai because other teams are going to see how good he plays this year and going to be like, oh well, he's a free agent coming from the best defense in the NFL. We need a defensive tackle. Come on over Tommy Togiai. And the Texans, they just spent a second round pick on Caden McDonald. So
Yeah.
the urgency to re-sign Tommy Togiai might not be there, but I'll say this: whatever team, if he does end up moving next offseason, whatever team gets him, I think they're getting a good guy because
Well, look at the D tackle market right now. Like all these guys are getting paid bukus, bro. So it's like he may not be that level like in their eyes, but like his price is going up.
and maybe not to the extent of this player that I'm about to mention, but very similar. I view him as like a Milton Williams of
Yeah.
that Eagles defensive line. They were incredible. Milton Williams, before that season, if I told you Milton Williams was going to get the contract that he did with the Patriots, you would have called me crazy. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
if, I told you before this season, Tommy Togiai is going to be, possibly a, 18 to 22 million dollar per year player, maybe in the high teens, like you'll be like, no way. But if he absolutely has a season like he did last year and shows out and maybe even improves more than he did last year, I don't think it's far-fetched or crazy to say that he gets top end starter money.
What's crazy is like his game, obviously he started slow and then like we basically got him for nothing. But like I guess a lot of defensive tackles, they're not like flashy numbers wise. Like unless you like cut on like the all 22, really honestly, that's when you watch and you're like, this MFer is like disrupting every play,
Mhm.
dude. Like I had a point when I was watching the Chiefs game and I was like, Tommy Togiai is a superstar. Like I'm like
Yeah.
watching every play and he's like slanting across from the 3 tech to the 1 tech and like disrupting the play or holding a guy up or making the tackle in the backfield. Like, and he may not get the stats for it, but like I'm like, dude, yeah. And I don't, and he's got the character, he's got the strength, the quickness. I don't see why it regresses. But yeah, I mean, it may be tough to resign him, but like, so there also is the element too, like if he does ball out, or even if it's not, if he just repeats what he did last year and the market just goes up and now he's this price, their logic might be, yes, that sucks. We lose him, but we got him 1 for nothing, developed him. 2, you got Naquan Jones off the street for nothing late in the year. And like within 2 weeks was like producing. So that's a big thing with their defense. They know like their scheme and coaching.
Mhm.
That they have value in their scheme because they get guys that are misfits elsewhere, bring them in, teach them a different technique. It's more of the aggressive, just go, fits their skill set. I mean, you look at Tim Settle Jr., like all these guys. You didn't pay Tim. Tim got hurt. It was a big injury. Then Tommy Togiai steps in. It's like Tommy Togiai is better than Tim Settle. It's like.
And I'll say this: we talk about losing players, and obviously that's like the main thing, right? Like, players are what make this league. But what I'm more worried about next offseason and what I'll be looking at, and I was shocked the fact that the Texans didn't have any of our defensive coaches poached from us this offseason. Dino Vasso is he is the fact that no team picked him up as a DC is absolutely criminal. Like, he is one of the best, if not the best, secondary coach in the National Football League. Our defensive line coach, Rod Wright, is awesome. Like, you just said it right there. Like, we're able to get guys off the street. I mean, last year, MJ Stewart comes in. He plays awesome. Jalen Reed, a 6th-round pick last year at the safety position, plays awesome. We get Naquan Jones off the street. He's fantastic. Tommy Togiai, who, we were all thinking of as a backup behind Tim Settle after Tim Settle gets injured, he's incredible. Like, everybody that they bring in and coach and develop is awesome.
That's D'Amico Ryans, dude. He's a freaking mastermind. Like, and I think something that is not talked about enough with him, like, is his eye for talent. Like, he's got an elite eye for talent. Like, just listening to him week in, week out, like on the previews of John Harris and Mark Vandermeer, like scouting the other team, like the stuff that he says about the other team, like this guy, You watch the game, it's like, yeah, he's right. Like, yeah, he's got a good eye for talent, dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could probably talk for another couple hours if we want.
That was fun, dude. We got to do this more often, bro.
Make sure to, like I said, and I probably said it multiple times, go give my guy Stressans a follow on X, on IG. He's especially on IG. Do you want to?
I had to redo.
Go ahead and put your
I'm
IG.
disabled on my IG is Texans commenter.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a temporary one. I'm still trying to get my main one back. 25,000 followers potentially.
For the time being, everybody, if you're watching this live, go give my guy Stressans a follow on his new IG account, because absolutely criminal. He's one of the best in the biz. He is awesome at giving you like little tidbits.
I spammed it. I spammed the crap out of it today. I'm all over it, dude.
Yeah, like we got to get that other one up, and hopefully you get the original one back. But if not, hopefully the new one is up to the same level, because that upsets me so much whenever I see people who've worked as hard as you do.
I mean, it was my fault. I mean, it was through like a shirt, and it was just negligence, and I got docked for NFL trademark logo, but like. It's a long story, but like, it wasn't like I wasn't maliciously trying to like beat the system. It was like pure negligence. I own it, but I've had talks with them, but you talk to them, it's like the support with them is crazy. Like Meta, just like they got like AI involved. And they just like auto do stuff, and then
bro, Meta is what maybe I should turn off my phone or something before I say anything about that. Regardless, I agree with everything you're saying. They are very tough to work with, and that's why I personally, like, I would love to do more things around breaking down film, doing stuff like that. But I'm just worried about on my accounts of like stuff anything like that happening. But like I said, you are one of the best in the business, and the fact that the Texans fans have guys like you, have guys like Aaron Wilson, who's on the beat, who have guys like Ruben, who does a great job, the Locked On guys. I could go on and on. We have amazing content creators. So go help us out. Go give us a follow, because Texans fans, I know we're the newest franchise in the NFL. We 25 years strong now. This is the 25th season of this team being in existence, but we are a strong fan base, and I'm so glad that Houston has this good representation of content creators and people that are somewhat the faces of the fan base, because I feel like we are really lucky in that aspect.
I agree 1,000%, man. And you're a big part of that too. Like, in what you do, like, you provide a crap ton of value, like your daily videos, the work you put into them, like the creativity for topics and the knowledge. Yeah, I agree 1,000%, man. Like that's my favorite thing about all this too, is like I've made a bunch of friends. I consider you a friend. I consider everyone in the chat a friend. Like we all love the Texans, and maybe this is finally our year.
Hopefully we're all getting drunk at a parade in 8 months.
That would be so sick. I would want nothing more in life than that.
All right. Well, from my guy Stressans, thank you everybody for joining us, and maybe let us know. Hit us up, DM us if you want us to do some more collabs like this. I want to try to, I'm kind of figuring out StreamYard, figuring out a couple more things. So I want to do more collabs during the season. I think me and Stressans work really well together. So I'd love to do some more collabs during the year. But if that's something that y'all want, let us know on IG. Let us know on X, on TikTok. Make sure to follow us. Let us know on our YouTube accounts as well. And everybody have a good night. We're almost to midnight, so I'm going to let y'all go a little bit sooner than midnight, but make sure everybody has a good night. And remember, we still have the rest of Texans training camp, first padded practice on Monday, ready to get after it. Everybody have a good night, and Stressans, thank you so much.
Thank you.